Well, aloha and welcome to today's presentation of Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers is a podcast that I started where I watch YouTube as well, and I like to check out all the other YouTubers and the Truth Seekers and just kind of listen to them and their perspectives, because I feel that we're all have pieces to a greater puzzle, and I like to see what pieces they have to offer and, take what vibes with my information, my perspective, and my research, and put those puzzle pieces together. And it helps me to grow. And I feel like doing these presentations helps others to grow as well. Today, we have an honored guest. I'm going to show you his channel here. All right, so this is going to be Mark from C-3PO's Golden Calf. This is his YouTube channel. I was just talking to him before the show, and I mentioned that there's a lot of Mandela Effect channels out there. This is one of the best ones that I have come across. He's got everything separated into different playlists that you can check out for different subject matter regarding the Mandela Effect. This is pretty extensive. So if you head on over to his channel after the podcast, then you can check out all these different videos on the Mandela Effect. I also feel like certain channels to me, I feel like they just deserve more subscribers. Look at all of this. Excellent presentations, well put together. Let's go ahead and give a huge emoji round of applause for my honored guest, Mark from C-3PO's Golden Calf. Hey, Mark, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Hey, Jay, and everyone. Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be here. Your channel's really meant a lot to me over the last few years. I discovered it maybe like 2 to 3 years ago, and it's really shaped my whole worldview. And a lot of my channel is heavily influenced by a lot of the topics you bring up in your truth in movies. And one of my favorites is your compilation on the North Pole. I think everyone should watch that. It's like 11 hours long, which might sound daunting, but like if you're interested in the truth of the world, that we live in, then 11 hours is nothing, So it's amazing, and I've never heard a lot of that before your channel. So, thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone watching.
Yeah, of course. Personally, I feel like everything is connected, no matter how diverse the subjects are. If we have a common beginning, going back to like Hyperborea, the Garden of Eden, and the North Pole, these phantom lands and stuff, and we possibly have a common end as well, being the plasma apocalypse as I presented, then I feel like everything in between is somehow connected on this, choose your own adventure tree of life type deal that we have set before us. I also saw that you had your Mercator Arctic map back there.
Which way do I go? Oh, this way. Backwards. Yeah. Well, yeah. So the flat Earth map, the North Pole map. I kind of put a bunch of stuff on my walls that we could get into later if you want, because
Okay.
interestingly enough, some of these things changed, like in my possession. But that's kind of a heavy topic to start out with.
Yeah. We'll come back. We'll come back around to that. I know that maps are part of, changes happening in the maps and stuff. So let's do this. Let's kick things off. First, I want to ask, how long have you been into and studying the whole phenomenon of, the Mandela Effect?
Well, I first heard of it around 2015, maybe early 2016, when it was just big on the internet and people were talking about like Berenstein Bears and like Mirror Mirror on the Wall and like the big ones. And it interested me. I knew that the things had changed, but I didn't take the leap to think that the world itself had actually, supernaturally been changed. I just thought it was some kind of psyop or some something that involved, humans and not the
Right.
supernatural. Which would be the normal way to approach the subject, I would think. But the more you study the Mandela Effect, the more you realize how many examples there actually are around us. And then you start to see patterns, which is what led me to believe a lot of the things I'm believing now. We can get into the various, patterns that there are. And a lot of the meanings that are in each change. Just a real quick one would be like the Jewel song, Who Will Save Your Soul? Now it's Who Will Save Your Souls. And that's just a really obvious message.
My God. Okay, I haven't even heard that one. It sounds like you got some new ones that are new to me at least. And I love hearing all the new ones, you know. At first I just thought there was, 20 or so, but then now it's like hundreds and hundreds. I want to ask you, we're going to start things off with a sort of a Mandela Effect 101. So for those like, just that never have heard of it or anything, I'm going to give you the stage and let you explain to everybody just from your perspective, what is the Mandela Effect? And you could give some examples or whatever. What is it? Why is it, something that's a strange theory or, something that people have been interested in or talking about? And just sort of the history if you want.
Sure. Everyone has their own opinion on what the Mandela effect is, if they've heard of it. So my thesis statement on it basically is that God is doing it. That doesn't mean I'm talking about any specific religion. I'm just talking about the creator of us and this place, and it's being supernaturally done in what I think is the end times. I think I'm not saying when the world's going to end. I know you talk about that a lot too with the plasma apocalypse. Um, and I think basically God is sending us messages so that we understand this place better and that we understand what it is we should be doing. And, just some other ideas that people have. I know not everyone thinks that actually God doing it is one of the, answers that you'll hear the least. Usually you're going to hear that CERN is doing it or that it's a psyop or that it's just mismemory. But once we start getting into the examples of the different physical residue that's left in the world and things like that, it starts to become clear that it isn't just mismemory. That's the easiest one to debunk. And as
Right.
far as it being a psyop, there's just too much. There's way too many Mandela effects and way too much evidence and way too much, physical residue. And
Yeah. There's
um,
something there. There's something of substance behind all that mounds and mounds and mounds of examples and evidence. It's hard to dismiss, right?
Yeah, I think it definitely has to be supernatural. I think it's God doing it. I think it's coming from a benevolent source, but there are other people who think that it's like the devil doing it, or they think it's like an AI simulation, like the Matrix doing it.
Okay.
But
Well,
the only thing I could really prove is that it's supernatural.
that makes sense to me actually. We'll come back to like theories and stuff like that probably after about halfway. What
Okay.
what is it? Like how did it begin? What's you know what I mean? Like if you were explaining it to somebody that had no idea what it was, what would you tell them?
Well, I think it is something that has always been going on throughout our history, and people just haven't really noticed. And with the internet and us being able to speak to multiple people around the world and confirm things, it's gotten a lot easier to notice. But I think it also has ramped up as over the last decade or so. But basically, what it is a physical object that you could have in your hands, like the classic example is the Berenstain Bears. It literally changed to the Berenstain Bears from an E to an A. So that book, you could check your garage of old Berenstain Bears books. You can go to a Goodwill or a thrift store or something and try to find them, and you'll never find a book that says Berenstein with an E the way I remember it and the way most people remember it. And that was kind of like the classic example that kicked this off on the internet, somewhere around 2015, I think, maybe early 2016. And it kind of came along with about 10 other examples that were really big, like Sex in the City turning to Sex and the City, Interview with a Vampire becoming Interview with the Vampire, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, and Snow White becoming Magic Mirror on the Wall. Um, there was a few others in that first, like you said, like, maybe like 20 examples. It's easy to dismiss it as like a psyop when you think there's only like 20 or 30 examples, but there's really thousands once you get into it. And as far as the name of the Mandela Effect goes, I'm really not too crazy about the name. I think that's probably the psyop because I don't remember Nelson Mandela dying. I mean, I know that other people do, but it's just a weird one to name the whole effect after. I mean, I think it should be
Right.
called like the God Effect, really, or the
Yeah,
Ed
something
McMahon
more
Effect.
profound.
Yeah, it should be
Right.
called the God Effect. But The Ed McMahon one is another one that a lot of people get because he never worked for Publishers Clearinghouse now, and he never brought like balloons and big checks to people's doors. If you look it up now, he worked for a company called American Family Publishing, which I never even had heard of, and everyone I've talked to has never even heard of that company. And like these commercials used to be on television constantly, like in the early
Yeah.
90s or so.
Yeah, I remember. So in essence, I don't know. I feel like maybe, this whole thing kicked off, a decade, max 2 decades ago, probably less than that, where people around the world started clearly seeing changes in the historic record. And what I mean is like, for example, we'll take Fruit of the Loom. That's one of my favorite ones too. Is like, so Fruit of the Loom, people saw it. They saw the logo or the icon for Fruit of the Loom, and they're like, "Where's the cornucopia? Like, did they change it?" So many people across the world, on their own, went and tried to figure out where's the cornucopia. And then as they continued researching, they went down a rabbit hole, figuring there's never been a cornucopia. What is this? And then so that leads them to, it just puts a splinter in the mind. To take a quote from Morpheus from the Matrix. And it started to really bug a lot of people to begin with. And then through online forums and stuff, when people started to ask about, one example, many more hundreds of examples started to flow in. And then people started to have to like sift through those examples to determine, what resonated more with them and what, could just be people trolling on the internet or just honest mistakes or whatever. I want to jump into some examples. Let's go ahead and check out a lot of them.
Sure.
We're going to start with the one that you named yourself your channel after, which was the C-3PO's golden calf versus the silver calf. Let me get that pulled up here, and you can kind of walk us through what's going on.
Sure. Well, before I came around, some people did like sometimes mention this, but it really wasn't mentioned much. People mostly call it C-3PO's like silver leg, or like the golden leg was removed, but it's really not his leg. It's from the knee down. So I think it's highlighting the calf area, which that was like the dawning epiphany that I had about it being supernatural and like why it would be being done in the first place, by God. It's because he's sending us messages, and the message for this one would be about like from Exodus. Moses has the story of the golden calf, where people are worshiping this golden calf instead of worshiping God. And it's like how I equate it to people worshiping Star Wars. It's like if you pick like one big media franchise that everyone's just totally crazy about, it would be Star Wars. So it's kind of like God took the golden calf, from this idol that people have that shouldn't be worshipped.
Oh,
frankly.
yeah. No, I hear you. So the golden calf from the book of what was it, Exodus?
Yeah, it's funny too because I had never read the Bible in my life until around 2018, and I had like just read Exodus for the first time, like right around the time I was, started thinking about this. So it just kind of like all clicked at the same time.
Right. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, in the pictures that you're showing, a lot of people try to just shrug this one off by saying that his leg only looks gold because he's walking on the desert, and the desert's, golden, and it reflects off the sand. But you could clearly see that, when he's on the ship and when he's in the forest, like the silver leg clearly stands out. And it's not like that people only watched Star Wars on VHS tapes on like crappy little televisions. Like it was on like, 35 millimeter prints in giant theaters, and they had the special editions in the 90s. So, I mean, people would have seen this silver leg, front and center, and people are crazy about Star Wars. They analyze like every detail of it.
Right. And then there's all these like toys and stuff.
Yeah, you can find tons of pictures, artworks, posters, action figures, even official action figures from like Kenner. He's just got the golden leg, and it's why wouldn't they make it silver if that was the color?
Yeah, this blew my mind when I first. I mean, all of them, so many of them do, but I'm like, he doesn't have a silver leg. That was my first response, So I'm like, let me easily just Google this real quick, looked it up, and then I'm like, Okay, and then I'm like, I need more examples. So I'm finding all the different examples, and it's frustrating. Like, it's frustrating to me. But I really like, I want to go back to like the spiritual implication, especially whenever earlier you were talking about how it should be named the God effect instead of like the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect seems more dismissive and low level, something that's a fad or something interesting or whatever. But this if we use C-3PO to represent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of solid, hard examples, and everybody has their own like personal one, I feel, that kind of speaks to them, like this is the one that got me, you know what I mean? um it really speaks to my soul personally. It speaks to me. It tells me, it's like this is a breadcrumb being dropped into reality to alert me to something, to like a message, like something is shifting, something is changing. Truth seekers ask why. Truth seekers, like, I mean, me as a truth seeker, I'm like, why? What is this about? And so instead of just dismissing it and just leaving it as an interesting, that's weird or whatever, um, there's not an obsession. It's an obsession with truth, I found, and just wanting to know and wanting to figure it out and tapping into more than just the mundane loops of life that we live in, and picking up on purpose. I feel like this has something to do with purpose and being here and the nature of reality and something more than just, living, going to work, coming home, eating dinner, and then doing that forever and then dying. You know what I mean? This sparks,
Exactly.
this is a great icebreaker, for people to help others to maybe like explore the unknown or to crack open the mysteries of the world that we live in and our place in it, and to be more in the world. But yes, the
Yeah.
C-3PO one was really good. And the fact that he has a golden calf, and then going back to the Hebrews who had the golden calf, it was a golden like bull or a golden cow. um you know if anyone's seen the 10 Commandments, Moses in the movie, he goes up, speaks with God, he gets the 10 Commandments, comes back down, he's excited to share God's word and laws and on how to be good people with the people, and they're down there worshiping an inanimate object, which was a golden calf or a golden cow. And in the movie, he throws the tablets down and it blows up the calf or whatever. And it's idol worship, basically. So I like your take on that this is, at least can be interpreted symbolically as removing idol worship, to get away from inanimate things and to look to what actually gives life to things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And even in that scene, like the Ewoks are like bowing and praying to C-3PO, like he's a
Oh
golden
yeah,
god.
right. I didn't even think of that. So in this scene, they pull up C-3PO. Everyone else has just been arrested, kind of like in Pirates of the Caribbean when they kidnapped Jack Sparrow, the headhunters or whatever they were. But they're worshiping C-3PO, and he's like, they think I'm their god, and they're all worshiping him. And they put him in this throne, in this little makeshift chair or whatever. But there's clear examples that you've provided where you can see that he was many
Yeah.
times depicted as completely golden. What is
And
this
those are
one?
like, big cartoons like the holiday special, and there was a cartoon called Droids that came out in the 80s, I think. And it's like, why, it's just a cartoon, why wouldn't they give him a silver leg?
Right, yeah. Well, let's do this. Let's have some fun and jump into all of the other different examples,
Sure.
many that you've shared with me. So we're just going to touch on each one of these, and then as we go, we'll also, talk about what it means to us. And holy cow, what it means to us. I don't even know where to begin here.
Well,
And
we don't have to
some
get into all
theories
of it,
about it too.
but
I just
sure,
want to
yeah.
start checking them out here. So I can't remember where the beginning of this was. Hold on one sec.
Well, Fruit of the Loom might be a good one to start at.
Okay, let's look for that one. I think that's the beginning anyway.
Probably
All
start.
right.
You should start with F.
You got some Star Trek ones in here, Scooby music. I mean, this really goes into all avenues of life too, from iconic imagery, pop culture, music industry, movies, sayings. I'm sure it gets
You
into
just
like
passed
other
it.
things too.
I saw it
There we go.
pass by
Okay,
there.
sweet.
Okay.
All right, this is the one I first brought up, the fruit of the loom. I clearly remember. And if you're watching in the chat, feel free to let us know what you remember too. That's fun. That's the fun thing about it. Do you remember or do you not remember? Right. I remember the cornucopia. It's classic. Like the cornucopia had to have always been there. I remember seeing it. I remember looking for it on the back of my t-shirt or whatever. But the one on the right that's the one how it is today, right?
Yeah, it looks ridiculous to me. I remember the cornucopia, 100%. And it has, I think, the most interesting physical residue, maybe of any Mandela Effect example, because it's not just like a letter changing or like something changing to another thing. It's something that's entirely being removed from the logo. So then how is it even possible that other people would put that thing into the logo if it was never there to begin with?
Right. So
Like
you got these different examples of that.
right. So like you're showing there that this movie called The Ant Bully, and there's a South Park episode. So they're clearly aping the Fruit of the Loom logo in their show or movie, and they're calling it something else like Fruit of the Loin or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes literally zero sense to have a cornucopia there. So like the fact that so many people remember a cornucopia there, and then these other artists are putting the cornucopia into it. It's literally impossible. It would have to be a well orchestrated psyop if it was fake. But then when you understand just how many examples there are and how deep this goes, it's just
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah, and then like you said, when even whenever they're trying to replicate this in movies or commercials and they're doing like knockoffs, they're putting the cornucopia in there, right? Fruit of
hmm
the loom, fruit of the lion. What's this one about?
Well, so this is where it gets really interesting in terms of the meaning. So one of the meanings that's fairly basic of the cornucopia being removed is it's also called the horn of plenty. So it's kind of like saying we could be entering like a time of famine, and that could mean of actual food. It could also mean like a famine of the word of God or of the Bible, which is kind of
Mm.
happening also because the Bible's being changed. But another big reason for the cornucopia is the hippocampus in our brain. It's shaped like a seahorse or like a ram's horn. Those are the two ways that it's described. And the cornucopia is like a ram's horn.
Oh, I see.
So when you see like a cornucopia like symbolism or a seahorse symbolism in movies or TV shows or something, like I don't know if you've seen Fringe, the TV show.
A
Have
couple
you seen
episodes,
that?
yeah. Hmm.
So, like when they cut to commercial breaks, they show like a series of different images, and one of the images they show is a seahorse because they're drawing attention to that. And interestingly enough, there was an emoji, and this isn't one for me because I don't really use emojis, but people remember there being a seahorse emoji, and that also disappeared. And then the traditional or the original Thanksgiving Day meal that the Pilgrims had, they had a cornucopia in the centerpiece of their table. And now, if you look at the official history of that, there was never a cornucopia there either. So it's like the cornucopias and the seahorses are being removed wherever they've been, the most famous in our society. And I think that's to symbolize memory being erased or altered because they both symbolize the hippocampus, which is responsible for our memory.
Damn. Like, wow. Oh, okay. This makes it more fun for me actually, is to look at I never even thought to look at all of the connections of the things that are removed and missing to see to almost look at them as like images or hieroglyphics that when we put them all together, they have something in common as far as like a message that's being given to people. I like that. That is that's genius. I love that. Let's check out what we got next. So the hippocampus, missing memory, the cornucopia, kind of also reminds me of like, well, one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse and nourishment being taken away from the people, not having
Mhm.
plenty anymore. Then we had, what else we have here?
Well, if you don't mind going back to that album, the Flute of the Loom album, that's a really interesting one too, because so this guy's obviously he designed the cover of this album, and I actually have it right behind me on the wall, but it's hard to see. But so it's a real album. It's something that you could just buy right now. And he shaped the flute like a cornucopia, and it's obviously based on the Fruit of the Loom. And people, I guess, tracked down this artist and they asked him, where did you get your inspiration for this cover, and he basically said like he just based it on the logo that had the cornucopia. Like there's just no reason for him to put the flute like a cornucopia, if it never existed. It literally if you just sit back and think about it, it makes no sense.
Right. Like, why would you add that? Okay, sweet. All right, let's check out some more of these ones. The next one, gramophone sound revealed. And then this looks
Well,
like
I just
Lurch.
yeah. I don't know if you've seen Twin Peaks. This is of the newest Twin Peaks season. So the first thing that David Lynch shows us is this black and white scene, and this is just a still image I took off of Google Images. Like I think it's somebody's YouTube video. But a gramophone is another thing that you'll see in movies quite often, and it's shaped like a cornucopia. And I think they're also trying to symbolize memory when they say that or show that. And in this scene, the whole point of the first scene is this giant, he tells the main character that he has to remember certain things, and that the sound that comes out of this gramophone is going to trigger his memory. So like I'm just saying, like David Lynch knows about this symbolism, and it's basically more confirmation.
Okay. Yeah. So the cornucopia looking like the horn that the gramophone is shaped like too. All right. Then we got some Bob Hope action. What's going on with Bob Hope?
Yeah, so there's a lot of self-reflexive Mandela effects about changing things or about memory, like we were just talking about. But this is another one where this famous Bob Hope song was clearly thanks for the memories. You could see all these examples on the screen.
Yeah.
But now if you look it up, it's thanks for the memory singular.
No way. Okay. Well, that's pretty
So that's all
mind-blowing.
physical residue.
And the actual
Yeah.
word memory that has to do with the Mandela effect is being manipulated. Interesting. Okay. So memories, people's memories. This is really interesting because a lot of movie scenes are also coming to mind as well that have to do with people's memories being wiped, or like Westworld. I don't know, have you ever seen the Westworld?
I've seen the first season and a little bit of the second season.
Okay, yeah. So like the robots, every time they die, it's like they're reincarnated, but their memories are wiped or whatever. But this is happening without reincarnation or without people dying or remembering past lives or anything like that. This is their lives in the now, our lives right now. The thinker statue.
Yeah.
This has changed.
So I clearly remember him having a fist, and his fist was to his forehead.
Yeah.
Now, people who followed this over the years, so you can see all these people posing in the way that I remember the statue being.
Right.
But then it moved down to his chin, and his hand is open now. And he also crossed his elbow over to his other knee, so he's like contorted.
I know, that looks weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, looks weird to me.
He's all the way over here on the other knee. I never even noticed that before. Okay, so the thinker, another thing that has to do with memory and thoughts and things of that nature. So I'm starting to see a pattern.
We should
already.
be thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Okay. Let's see. So we got the people who remember it, some of them doing it the original way, right? Like thinking down here. And then some of them more towards their mouth, right? So it's sort of a transition.
But they're still making a fist.
Oh, that's right. They're making a fist because he's all flat.
His hand is open. Yeah.
Like, that's so weird.
What is he even doing? Weird. That's not the way it was.
What is that? That's weird. Okay. And this is from SNL, I think. I remember seeing this one.
Yeah. Will Ferrell is doing like a nude model joke. Yeah. He says he's posing like the thinker.
What was that?
Well, he says in the skit that he's posing like the thinker.
Oh, right. Yeah. So he's doing how people remember it. That makes sense. This says these tourists pose incorrectly when the statue is right next to them. Oh, I see what you mean.
So I think that when they took this photo, the statue was the way that we remember it. So what happened was the physical reality changed. So the statue itself changed, but their poses didn't change. So like it's almost like the photo in Back to the Future, like the background stays the same, but the people disappear,
Right. That also reminds me of, have you seen the movie, The Mandela Effect?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so like there's one of these scenes. That movie's good. I love that movie. So in the movie The Mandela Effect, one of the things that really like the main character starts to notice things like the spelling of Berenstein and whatnot, right? And it's just kind of like bothering him a little until it becomes personal. And then he looks on his fridge and sees a picture of a vacation that him and his family took, and he's looking at it, and the background looks off to him. He's like, "Wait a minute, is that where we were? Weren't we somewhere else?" Posing that exact same way, but the background was totally different. That's kind of what this reminds me of.
Yeah.
All right, now we got Dr. Doolittle. What's going on with this one?
Well, I remember Doolittle being spelled with two O's, but now it's one O.
Oh yeah,
And it's kind of like another message, you know. It's like Doctor Doolittle, you know.
yeah, Doolittle instead of the
There's a lot
DOO.
of
Damn, I didn't
messages.
even notice that.
I won't say that, you know, the words for the YouTube, you know, issues, but the things that happened over the last years with the CV and the V, there's a lot of messages that relate to that too. So it's kind of like, you know, Doctor Doolittle. You know, you shouldn't be trusting doctors necessarily.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Then this one is this could be heaven or this could be hell.
Yeah. So famous Eagles song, Hotel California. This was one of my favorite songs. I listened to it a lot, and the lyric that's on the screen right now is 100% the way it used to be, and it even is this way if you open up the record and look at the lyrics on the record itself. But now it's "This could be heaven" and "This could be hell."
Oh no, that's not it.
Yeah.
I remember because I wrote a parody to that Hotel California, and yeah, this could be heaven or this could be hell. I totally remember that. So song lyrics are changing. Jewel,
A
you
lot
mentioned
of
this
song
one
lyrics.
before. Who will save your
Yeah.
soul, or who will save your souls? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
now it's souls, plural, which doesn't, you know, make any sense. And this song was on, like, you know, MTV and the radio all the time, so it was definitely soul singular, and it
Yeah,
has a very obvious message to it, you know.
your souls. Nah, that's messed up. But okay, I'm gonna keep that one in mind. The
But
plural versus the singular. Right? Like I'm making
yeah,
like little hieroglyphic notations, and I'm gonna like try to put it all together. Um,
yeah, please do. Yeah.
as we go. California Dreaming. Okay. The music of the Mama and Papa's California Dreaming.
This one has another really intense change because there's a part of the song where they say, "I got down on my knees and I pretend." Well, it used to be "I began to pray," but now it's
Yeah.
"I pretend to pray."
No.
Yeah,
What? Hold on. I got down on my knees and I began to
yeah.
pray. Oh, what
Now
is
it's
it?
now it's pretend.
I pretend to oh dude, okay. So praying, this is
Yeah,
pretty heavy. You know, like
yeah.
if I'm Doc from the Back to the Future, I'm saying this is heavy. Or if I'm Marty
It's real heavy.
or whatever. It's heavy. This is heavy. That's crazy too, because just in the movie, he's like, "Is something wrong with the Earth's gravitational pull in the future?" Maybe. Oh, this
One
one
thing.
killed me.
Oh yeah. Oh, this one is a really good one for you too, man. So Shaggy, you know, if God was going to remove anyone's Adam's apple, that would be like the most famous Adam's apple. It would probably be Shaggy because, you know, I remember him always, you know, swallowing and it going up and down and, you know, sticking out. And now he doesn't have it at all.
Yeah,
So
I feel like there was episodes whenever like he made an exaggerated swallow a few times, you know, and you could see the Adam's apple kind of like dip down and go back up,
yeah,
you know.
exactly.
But yeah, he
um,
now he doesn't have an Adam's apple. He's
yeah, so
transitioned,
there's
or I don't know what happened, but he's
there's a well, some people generally go to that, but I have a couple other explanations that I think you'll find pretty interesting.
yeah. Let's hear it.
Um, so one of them is Adam's apple was removed. So right there, it's like going back to like the Garden of Eden, like the original sin, you know, being removed,
Right.
perhaps. And the other thing is, if you look up Shaggy's name, and I don't think anyone's even talked about this yet. So his name is Norville Rogers. So the name Roger means famous spearman, which relates to the blue beam, in my opinion. And then his first name is Norville, so it's like, you know, the spearman from the north. You know, so it's like that's where the Garden of Eden is. You know.
Yes. Oh my God. I love the connections that you're making, especially with, I think we should call it the God effect. I don't know. The Mandela Effect is it's catchy or whatever, but all of these examples, and we've only done a few so far, they're all seem connected to
Yeah.
God, to reality, to a higher power, to existence, to our ancient stories. Okay, let's continue on. Let's continue on. Adam's apple, the Garden of Eden, Shaggy, this oh my god, okay. So this is E.T. E.T. phone
Yep.
home, Reese's
Um,
Pieces, light up
so
fingers.
now at the end of the movie, he used to point to Elliot's heart, but now he points to his third eye. So it's like an extraterrestrial saying, "I'll be right here in your third eye," basically.
Okay. And then I see it lights up right where his third eye is. So this is what it is now, or this is what it used to be?
But this is what it is right now.
Okay. And then it used to be his
What
heart's
what's really
chakra.
interesting too is, I didn't want to send you like a million things, but they made like a really high budget commercial sort of recently that mimicked this whole scene in the E.T. movie, and it actually has this original kid in it, but he's older, so he plays the father. And in this commercial where they're mimicking, E.T. practically, word for word, he touches the kid's heart, so they get
Yeah.
it wrong.
Okay. Now, Bruce Almighty. I've seen this movie a million
Yeah.
times. What do we got going
Well,
on
actually,
here?
could you go to the next one? I think I might have messed that one up a little
This
bit.
one?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's based on this creation of Adam painting by Michelangelo that's on the Sistine Chapel ceiling.
Yes.
So I didn't want to put the whole thing because there's nudity. I mean, it's a famous painting, but I
Oh,
still
well,
just,
thank you.
but
You could barely see it.
yeah. But God, for me, first of
God's
all,
hand is lower?
yeah.
I have no idea what you're about to say, but to me it looks like it's God's hand is too low.
Yeah, there's several changes. For me, God used to be in clouds, and now he's in a brain. So it's
Yes.
like he's reaching through the third eye. And Adam's hand used to be pointing, like his finger was pointing
Yes.
up to God, and now
Yes.
it's like limp and down. And then God's hand is also now lower than Adam's hand, and it used to be higher. It used to be like, this. Sorry, like
Right,
that.
yeah, which makes sense, and that's why we see the Bruce Almighty version where they're trying to replicate it, and it's
Right,
more true to what people remember.
exactly. And
And
they're
that's
in
how I remember
clouds.
it too. Like Adam's finger wasn't like reaching out like he's really trying to touch God, but it definitely wasn't all limp wristed like
No, his
that.
finger was out, but
Yeah,
yeah, it wasn't like super. Uh,
interesting. And then now it's a brain too. And
yeah, I
he's
remember
reaching out
people
through the third
saying
eye.
like you could picture the clouds to like be like a brain. Like it was kind of like this confusing thing, but now it's just like a straight up brain. Like there isn't even
Right.
any confusion about it.
Yeah. Okay. And then we got another example where they're trying to mimic it. And then
Yeah,
here's another version of it,
it's like that one. They're in a brain, but the fingers are more what I
closer to
remember.
the original. Yeah, me too. All right, King Tut.
Yeah, I know you like the Tutankhamun name and all that.
Yes.
So this is another third eye related one. I remember King Tut's mask just having the snake on the
Yes.
front, but now he has two. There's two animals
Hold on.
coming
Let
out
me
of his
zoom in on
third
this. This is
eye.
insane. This stuff, how can this not blow everybody's mind wide open? What is this? This is off center.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be right above the nose, like right in the center there. Now there's a freaking snake eagle bird.
People say it's a vulture. I'm not 100% sure. It looks like a vulture, but
I mean, the head of a vulture. What is this? I don't know what that looks like. A
yeah.
snake belly. And then
And
this, I don't know what's happening here. That's crazy.
and I don't remember like the tail being curled around in the back either.
Yeah, I don't
Like on
remember that either. This
yeah.
back part. Okay, King Tut. Oh, this one's classic. So this one really hits home for some of the older people or fans of the 007's franchise, where you had the what was it? What was the guy that had the mouth?
Jaws.
Yeah. So tell us what's happening here.
The next like few slides are really going to be mind blowing here. So, the main thing that people know about this movie is called Moonraker. It's a James Bond movie, and the girl character is called Dolly, and the guy character is called Jaws. So they have this scene where they meet for the first time, and they instantly fall in love. And they fall in love. The whole point of the joke was that he has this metal mouth, and then when she smiles at him, she has braces. So they
Yes.
have that connection. So
And
now when she smiles, there's no braces, and they fall in love, and it literally makes no sense. Like it's like a James Bond movie, you know. It's not like, you know, high level thinking here, you know, like
right.
the thing was he was a metal mouth and she was a metal mouth, and they had
Yes.
that connection and they fell in love, you know. So it's
Right.
really obvious that this is
Like
a
this
change.
scene doesn't make any sense when you take the metal out of Dolly's mouth, when you take the
Right.
braces out. What the heck?
Um, so another thing that's even crazier, and you might not have noticed it yet because it's just crazy, but Jaws now has like a protruding third eye bump
I
on his
did notice.
forehead.
I'm staring right at it. What's happening with this? I've never seen him with a big old knob on his head.
Yeah, so
I
there's a lot of third eye references in the Mandela Effect, and then when you think about Dolly's name, Dolly is short for Dorothy, so the name Dorothy means a gift from God, and it's like our third eye being enlarged is like the gift from God, and then like braces, you know, hold things back, so it's like this gift from God is no longer being held back. Is
right.
my take on it.
You know, I feel like have you ever seen what's that damn movie? This guy looks just like the guy in this movie about like how this guy keeps having visions of like this world storm that's coming. So it's Take Shelter. Have you seen that one?
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
Okay, well there's or like have you seen 8 Mile with Eminem?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, you know, like Eminem's mom, and she lives at the trailer park. Well, she has a boyfriend, and this looks like the
Oh,
boyfriend or
okay.
whatever. It's this famous actor. I can't remember his name, but he looks like the dude in Take Shelter too. All right, now this is clearly Back to the Future,
Yeah.
and we've got the Volkswagen bus or whatever this was called,
Yeah, so this is going to get really
and the
crazy.
Libyans.
So
I
I
love
don't
Back to
remember
the
the
Future.
bus looking like this. I remember a Toyota van that had a. I don't remember it being a Toyota necessarily, but if you look it up, the Toyota van from that time period is what I remember it being, where the front of the van was like slanted and it had kind of like a sci-fi look to it. For me, it definitely was not a Volkswagen bus. I don't know, like what your take is on it. Like, do if you remember the
I
bus? Or...
remember the Volkswagen. The only thing that I remember as far as a Mandela effect is the logo of the
Yeah.
Volkswagen.
So where this gets really interesting, though, like for me, this is like 100% change. We all have different memories, though, so we're not going to agree on
Right,
everything.
right.
But the model of this van, this Volkswagen bus, is called a Moonraker.
No way.
Yeah. So it
That's
ties to
crazy.
that. And then
Right.
also there's a quote from Jaws, the movie that changed. So like that guy's character name is Jaws. And then
Jaws,
in the
yeah.
movie Jaws, the famous line was, "We're gonna need a bigger boat," but now it's "You're gonna need a bigger boat."
Right.
So it's like the vessel is like the third eye. Like you're gonna need like a bigger, you know, vessel, you know, to move forward, you know,
Right.
through the plasma apocalypse, really.
Yeah. And then also in Back to the Future, there was the whole thing with like you said, the pictures disappearing and changing. Okay. We got Picard. What's going on here? He's holding up some crystal shard or
Yeah.
something.
So everyone that I've asked who's a big Star Trek fan, and one of my friends is like a huge Star Trek fan, no one's ever heard of Picard's crystal. And now in over 70 episodes, he's got a crystal that he's like holding, and it's on his desk, and it's in his ready room, and he often holds it when he's talking to people, and like
Well,
nobody remembers this.
I don't. I've seen
Yeah, I know.
every Next Generation. I've seen all of them.
Yeah.
I don't recall him holding a piece of crystal all the time or anything. That's weird.
And I think it relates to the third eye again because we have like microscopic crystals in our, you know, pineal gland,
Yeah.
and the name Picard is like a pike or a spear, you know, so that's like the
Oh,
blue
yes.
beam again.
Yes. Once again, the
And
pike.
one thing that I get into a lot on my channel too is the twin pillars, and I think that there are names that are often used to be like nicknames or something for each pillar. So like the right pillar is often like J names, like you know, John, Jack, you know,
Yeah.
Jesse,
Johann,
JC.
Joaquin.
Yeah, and then the left pillar is kind of like Lucifer, Lucy, Luke, you know, names like that. So
Hmm.
his name is Jean-Luc Picard. So it's like the twin pillars and the central
Yeah, the
pillar.
Pillars of Hercules.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, I also see like some crystal shard symbolism too. So like maybe some firmament action, pieces of the
Sure.
firmament, the sky breaking, the sky falling, the dark crystal, etc. What does
Oh,
this say?
sorry.
This is
I
why
think it's
Jean-Luc
probably what
Picard
I
now
just
has
said.
a crystal. Oh, okay, here we go. I see it. The trident, Luke, Jean, and then Picard, the Pike. I think wasn't Pike the name of the first Enterprise captain? Wasn't it
Yeah,
Pike?
yeah.
Interesting. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, this looks like Wikipedia article.
Well, this gets into another aspect of the Mandela effect where there's a lot of our history that's been changed. And I don't know if you ever heard of the Black Tom event.
No.
So when people think of the first like terror attack on the United States or like a foreign attack, people think of Pearl Harbor. But this Black Tom event actually happened decades before that, and it was kind of like the equivalent of like an atomic blast in New York City. And like the earthquake effects were felt all the way in like Philadelphia, and it was a massive amount of TNT, like 1 million pounds of TNT, and that number has actually changed. Like it's kind of like an incremental Mandela effect change. And it damaged the Statue of Liberty to the point where no one has been able to go up into the torch, which is kind of like the eternal flame. So like
Hmm.
since that happened, people haven't been able to go into the torch, but there's a lot of people who remember going into the torch like in the 80s or 90s or something. So it's like our history has been changed. And then Black Tom, like the name Thomas, means twin. And yeah, it's kind of like being shown in iPet Go too. Like the Statue of Liberty's arm gets severed and falls off, and then that's like a portal being opened in the sky between like the light world and the dark world, or like the black twin.
Okay, so for those who don't know, this is a screenshot from iPet Goat 2, which like everyone has seen and decoded and broken down. And there's always more. Every time I watch it, I see more and more. But now we've
Yeah,
got like I also see like the blue beam symbolism and then the spiral, the opening up in the firmament there.
yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
And then this breaks off the light, the everlasting torch. Interesting. Okay. What's this one?
So this one, I can't say it's the Mandela effect or not. I think it is, but it's an interesting story that relates to the Mandela effect in an interesting way. So this guy, Christopher Hutton, so his name is basically like a Christ name, and then Hutton means like a mountain or like a steep hill. So I think it's like, the Mount Meru symbolism.
Hmm.
This guy broke people out of prison by altering a Monopoly game. So if you think of like our world, being like a prison, and I think it's more than just a prison. I think it's like a school and other things. But if the Mandela effect is like God essentially breaking us out of this prison or like this mental prison that we've been in, one of the biggest changes is to Monopoly. His name actually used to be Uncle Moneybags, and now it's Uncle Pennybags. And he used to have a monocle on his eye, and now he doesn't have a monocle. So it's like Monopoly has been changed in the Mandela effect. And then here's this story from history, which is likely a Mandela effect because I've never heard anyone who's heard of this before, but I can't say it is or not. But I just think it's an interesting reference in our history to what's going on.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break from checking out all the examples of the Mandela effect. I would like to encourage everybody to go check out Mark's channel. I left a link in the description. He's got lots of interesting things. I'm most interested. You cracked my mind open
It's
with
a
because
lot.
I always talk to people about building context through imagery. Like if you have one image, it's whatever, it's open to a lot of different interpretation. But if you put another one with it and then another one with it, then it starts to build context for a message, right? This is one of the first videos I ever did was breaking down the symbolism and the message that's contained within the Colorado State Seal. And then I started realizing how hieroglyphics works and how picture form and rocks, petroglyphs and stuff started to work. So I really like, and I'm going to start doing this when considering the Mandela effect, instead of just simply saying, oh, wow, that's strange. No, I remember it and this and that, but to actually pull out what it is that's missing and what it is that used to be there. And then adding that to the collective, almost like it's a hieroglyph, like an image. And then we keep putting them together and keep putting them together and see how they're all related, almost like a comparative mythology, form of work. Thank you. Oh my God. Like,
Well, thank you too, man. Like one of the huge things I learned from you too was always researching what the names mean. So like whenever a Mandela effect comes up that I'm thinking about, one of my first things that I go to is, okay, what does this name mean? What does it break down? And always it fits the meaning and it fits this, world script storyline.
yes. What does Mark mean?
Well, I guess a couple things, but it seems to relate to like Mars. It's like a warrior, but
Mm-hmm. Yep. Also like an actual mark. So like the Mandela effect seems to be a type of marker or marks on reality, right? Okay, sweet. So I just want to tell everyone in the chat, I let everyone know that if they're in my live stream tonight in the chat, I'm going to be giving out free channel memberships so that if you get one of these free memberships, all the people that support my work as members, they get to check out, they get access to like fun emojis that are, exclusive to my channel. They get to see lots and lots of members videos that we have. And it's my way of saying thank you to everyone to make some exclusive content. So if you're in the chat right now, I am going to be giving away the 5 free memberships. Let's go ahead and do a drum roll. And let's give them out and see who picked them up. I'm looking at the chat right now. I see lots of people. Shout out to Kimberly F. Backass words, weird world. All right, who got it? We got Capricorny picked up one of those free memberships. It was written. I like that name. Let's see. We got David Rizzuto Jr. picked up a free JayDreamerZ membership. Horse hooves and applesauce. Okay, that's my favorite one so far. I like that one. And then Robin, congratulations to everybody who just scooped up a free membership. Make sure to jump into the chat as often as you can because I am allowed to give out, some free memberships every month. I get a renewed supply of about 10, exactly 10 actually. But sometimes I just give them out of my own pocket too because I love my community. I love the Good Vibe Tribe. Let's jump back into the Mandela Effect. We're talking with Mark from C-3PO's Golden Calf. Awesome YouTube channel, extensively covering the Mandela Effect. He abbreviates it ME. So if you're wondering why it says, ME, all about me, it's not all about him. It's all about, the Mandela Effect, which he says, it deserves a better name. I think so too, because it seems to have more to do with deeper things than just, glitches in history and then it's just chalking it up to just random glitches or whatever. Let's jump back into our presentation and see what else we can uncover as far as the Mandela Effect. All right, this is what are they called? The YMCA dudes?
The village people.
The village people. Okay.
So most people don't remember the guy on the right there, like the army man.
I don't.
He sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yes. I feel like
and
there's too many of them.
yeah, I remember all the other guys, but I don't remember the army man.
So there's an introduction of the army now.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is, like I learned from you, I looked up what his name was. Oh, actually, sorry, it's not about like the meaning of the name, but I did look up his name, and then I looked it up on Wikipedia, and it's like he has the most ridiculous backstory because I think this whole thing was just inserted into history, and I think it's on the next slide, hopefully.
Yeah, let's check it out. Oh, Alex. What is he? We got?
Yeah, so you might want to be careful when you read this because it is about the thing that happened in New York in 2001. But just check out the highlighted part there, dude. It's ridiculous.
All right, let's see here. I'm just gonna skim over. All right, so this guy, the army guy, Alex Briley's younger brother, Jonathan, worked as an audio engineer at Windows on the World on the 106th floor of the North Tower. Interesting. Perished in the attacks. Jonathan was speculated by several people to be the falling man.
So this guy who was just inserted into the village people, his brother just happens to be the falling man. Like,
yeah,
that's ridiculous.
That's insane. All right, wow. Okay, let's continue on. See what else we got. ABBA or ABBA. What changed here? I'm not familiar with ABBA.
I don't remember the backwards B, the first B. being backwards like that. And I think if this is a Mandela effect, I think it's kind of like the Janus god, because Abba's like a word for God,
Right. So this
and
is
it's like
another
a
one related to God, Abba, Abba Father. But
right.
this one's backwards, and I see this a lot actually in more modern things like the Imagine Dragons. They do this. They sometimes they have like a 33, but they invert one of the threes or something, and it makes so that there's like this beam in the middle or this space that's right there in the middle. But I've seen this many different times where people flip one of the letters around. Eminem does this too.
I think this is a change. I could be wrong because I'm not like a huge ABBA fan, but I did see their logo, and I don't remember it being backwards like that. I forgot what I was going to say, but it does speak to the whole mirror symbolism and the Janus god. If it is that.
Yes, right. No, I totally agree. So the beam going up and then the branching out on this side, branching out on that side, one face facing one way, one face facing the other way. Very nice. All right, then we got the scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz.
So for this one, it's his hat being black now. Like it used to be like a brown color, but now it's like jet black, like the witch's hat. And
Yeah, you're right.
this was like the first pattern that I noticed in the Mandela effect was things turning to black. And other people have brought it up too, but they didn't really get at the meaning of it. And I think the meaning relates to like the beast system, basically. So the way I started thinking about it was the Scarecrow's hat turned black, and he's basically like a brainless character. And then the next hat that turned black was that Dumb and Dumber hat that you just had on with Jim Carrey. Like,
Yeah, the big 10-gallon hat.
yeah, that hat for me, it used to be like bright orange or something because this
Yeah,
is when he comes out, and like now it's like a
like
like a big.
it looked fake almost because it was like it was that weird like orangey brown sort of a color or
Yeah, it was
something.
like a hat that you would get at like a sports game or
Yeah,
something.
like not a real actual hat. This one looks more like just a giant real version.
Yeah, and it's not funny. Like Dumb and Dumber is such a funny movie. Like they wouldn't give him like a big black hat. They would give him a big
Yeah.
orange hat. It's a lot funnier. So and then
Wow.
of course it's called Dumb and Dumber. So again we have another dumb character now putting on a black hat.
Interesting. So the hat also just I'm just, off the top. The hat connection, I've seen a lot of hat connection. In some languages the word for hat or whatever is cap or it's pronounced cop sometimes too. And it implies the top basically, like the top of something. And so the top and the black, the top of the world, the head of the world, the Mount Meru symbolism, the things turning black or turning white, like his Mount Meru I've talked about can turn black or white basically. Um, then we got a hat on Dumbo with the mouse inside of it. What's going on with Dumbo? Oh, he's holding a black feather. Oh,
Yeah. So the feather used to be white, and
yes.
now it's black. And again, we have the word dumb. I thought to look this up without even knowing there was going to be a change because I was like, what else has the word dumb in it? So I looked up Dumbo, and sure enough, the cover had a black feather,
Dumb and
and it's like
Dumber,
a
Dumbo.
black magic feather. Yeah,
Interesting. And then dumb, I believe it means not being able to speak, basically, right?
right, right.
So of those that don't speak or to not speak, the whole Illuminati hush thing, secrets, the music industry. What do we got going on here?
So this is from Nirvana Unplugged, and the candles on the stage used to be white, and now they're black. I don't know if
Okay,
you
another
remember
transition to
that.
black.
And so one of the songs that they sing is actually called "Dumb," and in that song, he talks about selling his soul for cheap. So I think it kind of relates to like the V, stuff. Um,
Right.
and another thing too is it's called Nirvana Unplugged, so it's like being unplugged from heaven.
I like that. Okay. This is Dallas, clearly.
Yeah. So then another part of the pattern of the black pattern or things turning black is I think things that represent America. So like in the Dumb and Dumber one, a giant cowboy hat that represents America, and in this Dallas show, their white picket fence is now black. You
Oh,
can see it behind
dang.
them.
Yes. I,
So
I
like I
love it
mean,
when you point it out because I'm like blank looking at it if I've never seen it before. But the second you point it out, I'm like, yes, I see it. Thank you.
So
Check
like
this
these
out.
these symbols of America are turning black, and America is kind of where this beast system is originating.
Wow. Okay. Greatest American hero.
Yep.
The cape. You mentioned this one right before we went on. So the cape used to be red, a red cape, but now it's also turned black.
Yep.
This reminds me of the
And
song Paint It Black.
well, yeah, and that's also a change likely because the lyrics used to be I see a red door and I want to paint it black,
That's
but
what it
now the
is.
lyrics, yeah, now the lyrics are I see a red door and I want it painted black.
Survey says. That's insane. I see a red door and I want it painted black. Okay, no.
And
We
like
did.
it takes away the agency, like that wouldn't be the
Yes.
way they wrote it.
I want to paint it black. I want it. Oh my God. All right. Let's continue on past. We're going to skip those ones. John Carpenter's Christine. What's going on here?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a different change. What I know for certain, there's sometimes there are a lot of changes to these logos, but they're a little tough to decipher. But the S definitely didn't droop down like that, and the E wasn't as like pointy and jagged. But this is something I had on my wall. You see how like the R and the I and the S are all like interconnected, and the S is large. Like it just was not like that.
Right. Okay. I'm unfamiliar with Christine or any of that, so
Okay.
that's how I'm seeing it for the first time right now. Classic. This is one of the popular ones. Did Curious George have a tail? Right.
I think it makes no sense for him not to have a tail because monkeys have tails, and like, why wouldn't you include a tail in a children's
Right.
cartoon? You could do so many fun things with it.
Yes.
So, but like once again, though, I thought about his name too. So it's kind of like I'm not saying evolution is real. I don't believe that story anymore, but we do think of like monkeys as being a devolved human basically. So it's like the cure or having a tail being like a devolved human. So it's like, the curious George, and
Right.
George means like, farmer. And I know that you've talked about like it means like the people from the gorge.
Yes.
Um, so it's like, the curious ones evolve, they lose their tail. I think that's
Okay.
kind of the message.
Yeah, and I also talk quite often about the legendary tribes of mutated humans and what humans used to look like, going back into our ancient Oblivion, and then what they are likely to return to looking like, and the us having a tail or the ability to grow horns or things like that, extra stages of puberty as people live for hundreds more years instead of just less than 100 years, and then the tail just being lopped off or chopped off. If this represents us, which seems obvious to me that Curious George represents humanity, the tail, losing our tail, like as a part of our evolution or whatever. Whenever we go back into this next cycle, I feel, especially if there's an increase in buoyancy in our atmosphere, which I believe there will be, then having that tail will help us out as we're able to jump further and leap around, or to keep our balance, basically. This is also featured in that movie too. I broke down that movie, The Mandela Effect, and decoded it for
Okay.
my Truth in Movies. One of my favorite ones. It's so good. But the one of the main characters, this little girl, she walks around with the Curious George stuffed animal, and she's on the beach. She's holding it by the tail as she's walking around or whatever. I think you'll like that if you check out that movie.
I've
Dances
seen
with
the
Wolves
movie.
too.
I don't know if I've seen your Truth in. I've seen a ton of your Truth in Movies, but I don't
Oh,
know if I've
okay.
seen that one.
Yeah, I totally broke it
Um,
down. It should be on the playlist.
But it's like Avatar too, where they have the tails and they plug into like the world tree.
Yes. What's changed about Dances with Wolves?
So all the letters are like extended, and I'm not
Oh yeah.
100% sure what it means, but like there's no way that it looked like that. But it could be like wolf claws. A lot of changes involve wolves. Like
Oh right.
the lion
Yes.
and the lamb is now the wolf and the lamb.
Yes. So
Uh,
as far as the plasma apocalypse go, the wolf oftentimes represents Mount Meru as looking like a
right,
split
right.
mountain that's howling up at the moon. And black, also just the black cover and stuff. All right, let's continue on. Battlestar Galactica. BBDB. Is that the right one?
Well, one of the
Oh,
patterns
that's
of
Buck
logo
Rogers. I was thinking
changes.
Buck Rogers.
Uh, one of the patterns of logo changes are the like A's turning into either delta shapes or like
Yeah,
lambda shapes.
right. You're right.
And
unfinished
And then you have
pyramids.
like the L kind of connected to the A. There's a lot of LA connections, and then like the CT and the CA. Like I think those have been merged.
Okay. I can't speak on it too much because I'm not familiar with it. That looks like an Ewok.
It does.
All right. So Battlestar Galactica. I was talking with someone close to me who basically said I need to see this. Like at least see the new, I guess they did a remake of it too, which is pretty good. All right, this is my jam, Star Trek: The Next Generation. Hold on, let me see if I can point it out. I don't know what this is going to be about. Let me
Well,
examine this
it's
picture.
similar to what we just.
All right, we got is it a give me a hint.
Well, it's kind of what we just
Oh, the
did
letters,
with
the lettering.
with Battlestar. So like the
Okay, let's check
A's,
it out. Oh, you're right. Okay, so these are more examples of how like the A's have changed and stuff.
and
Or
I think there's
the
more.
lettering. Look at this.
Yeah,
It's
there's
like it's a different letter there too.
there's like pieces taken out. Like the K definitely wasn't just separated like that.
Yeah, that's weird. That looks
And like
strange.
looking in the word generation too, like the A looks ridiculous.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, let's keep those in mind. The letter changes, font changes, and styles and stuff. This is
Yeah.
clearly the all-seeing eye in the sky up
Oh
there.
yeah, for sure.
The Transformers, the movie, and let's see, we got the beams
Well,
shooting up. Like all I see is plasma apocalypse symbolism. There looks like there's a dome back
definitely.
there. All right, so what's changed with this?
Well, again, it's the A, and I'm just kind of like
Oh, the letters.
establishing
Oh, okay, okay, gotcha.
pattern of the delta. It's
Damn, I
kind of like
can't
an
help but to see
open
the rest
delta.
of it though.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like you got a dome shape in the background,
Yep.
the inanimate objects coming to life, shooting their beams straight up at the eye that has horns, the Kronos eye, etc. All right, let's see the
Well,
next
I
one.
think that that's all related to the change too, because like if the deltas are like open, like a delta could symbolize a door, right? I think you've mentioned that.
Yes,
So like if it's like an open door, maybe you
you're
know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah, it means door too. And then the fact that it's sort of they cut off the tops of the A's. A's are supposed to be pointy on the top. Like that's just the defining thing of what makes a capital A. You know how I was raised or whatever. You don't ever do an A with like a flat top and then go back down. That's weird. Um, so it's delta in being that it's a triangle, meaning a door, and then it's also volcano shaped, which is also
Hmm.
an opening into the earth, right? Or the plasma
So
volcano,
I
as
think
I
it
talk
plays
about it.
off of the plasma apocalypse symbolism that you were talking about. You know, I think it's all connected.
All right, check out this next one. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, and then we've
Yep.
got. I'm seeing a lot of symbolism here, but tell me about this one.
Well, the big change for me is the O's in the word good. This is a big pattern too in these logo changes where you have the Vesica Pisces forming, like the two O's are merged together. So it's like the merging of the twin pillars or the twin worlds.
Oops, what did I just do? My bad. Okay, so yeah, you're right. The worlds merging. Sorry, I'm like
And then of course the
multitasking
symbolism
here.
is huge because like we're at like midnight, the garden,
Yeah,
good and
the
evil.
golden
So
age symbolism. Okay, sweet. Let's continue on here. We got okay.
this is
Cocoon,
like a
I have seen. Oh, here's the more examples of the double O, like you were
yeah,
saying.
exactly. So like it's like the eclipse symbolism too, like the two circles going over each other. So like they're like sliding doors. And then I think like Moonstruck probably references the moon that you talk about, which would be the center, over Mount Meru.
Yeah, the apex of the dome.
And she's
Oh
doing
my
like a
god.
a Christ pose.
Yeah, she's totally doing the Atlas Squatterman deal. She also has like her leg. Like if I flip this upside down, she's basically the hanging man from the tarot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he has one leg up just like that.
And
Okay.
Cocoon has got the dome symbolism also. And the Cocoon Part 2, the O's are merged as well. And that has like the blue beam. The cover of that has a blue beam coming out of it.
Yeah. No, like they do this stuff purposefully. They've got like this dome going up, just like in Disney when they see the Disney intro, and then like there's just one tower that pokes up through the dome right
Oh,
there.
yeah. Wow.
All right, then we've got more examples. Bloomingdale's.
Yep.
What else do we have here?
That Bergdorf Goodman is another store that the O's merged, and it means like the
Oh, I see.
village of the mountain because Berg means mountain.
Right.
So also like they do it on the world stage with the Washington Monument, which is that image in the middle. So you have like the bullseye that you've talked about being like representative of the North Pole island, and it's in the Vesica Pisces. You know, it's got the pyramidal top,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like the blue beam, you know, with the capstone.
This is great. Okay, sweet. Here's the Vesica Pisces thing. And then there we have these merging of letters together too.
Yeah.
For me, this would also like if I'm looking at it with, intent basically, the letters merging together is just it's nicknames, right? Which reminds me of like the Nicolaitans in the book of Revelation and the Bible and stuff. Nicodemus, Saint Nick, etc. Nicking is to shorten something or to cut it off basically. So we have the letters being cut off, squished together, shortened, short form of everything, which is basically where I see our language headed towards as it devolves back into or evolves back into more of short form. And the problem with that is things lose their meaning when they don't keep their original spellings, or we keep nicknaming everything and shortening things and shorten things. People lose the meaning of what those things are. So people don't understand what their own name means or what any of the words that we're actually using mean, because they're all just short formed and short formed and short formed. Pretty much they're just turning it back into a picture or an emoji. So yeah, like squishing together all these little words and things like this. Here's another one,
Also,
LA.
well, gorillas in the mist too, because you often talk about the mist at the North Pole.
Oh yeah, that's
And
right.
actually, yeah, check that one out too, because it's got some crazy merging in it. So like, look at the L and the A, and then look at the H and the E.
So there's the LA again
Right.
that you mentioned, LA being merged together, and then the H and the E are merged together.
Like they would never, you know, print the book like that. It looks ridiculous.
Yes. Why is this happening?
So
Okay.
I wonder, you know, it seems like it's like each letter, and I know you've talked about this, like each letter obviously has a meaning, like back to its original, you know, glyph form.
Yes.
So like, is it really, you know, pointing out the H and the E having some connection to this, and the L and the A having some connection to this, or is it just to get our attention on Gorillas in the Mist, you
Yeah.
know, or how deep does it go, you know?
Well, off the top of my head, L and A is the L sound, which is lamed, which is a shepherd's staff, which implies leadership, basically. And then H and E is hey, and it was more of a breathing sound, and it implied spirit or that which gives life to something. So this would be like spirit or representing spirit if we look at it in that context, and this would be like leadership, basically.
And do you think like the L could also be like EL, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So L, that's so the word L has two glyphs. So it's got the shepherd's staff, and then it also has the ox head or the bull head or the calf head, if you will. And it just means strong leader, basically. So the bull represents strength, and then the L lamed represents leadership, or the staff, or the pole, or the beam, etc. All right, and then
Awesome.
we've got labyrinth, the same LA being squished
Yeah.
there together, merged. Vesica Pisces over here with the Oakley commercial. The labyrinth or the
Um,
maze leads to the secret garden meadow in the center inside of the water field. Dude, I love
like
all this stuff.
the word Mizuno, the name Mizuno means water field. So like you have the fire and ice pillars merging and forming the water, and then like Oakley and mead or meadow. There's a bunch of changes that relate to the garden, or also like the maze, like the labyrinth. These are all things that lead to the North Pole or are at the North Pole, which I mostly learned from you.
Yeah, I'm vibing with everything you're saying. Like, this is great. We're definitely going to talk more.
Oh, and
Uh,
notice the R's in the secret garden. That's going to come up a lot in some future images too. How like the leg of the R's are extended.
right. That kind of reminds me of the prescription deal.
Yeah,
When
that's
people
true.
write
The RX.
prescription,
Yeah.
RX, they always make that elongated R or whatever, which is not really an R. It's a P.
And I
All
think
right.
you've said too that R is kind of like the human head and neck, I believe.
Yeah, resh. So there's a letter in Hebrew and Phoenician resh. It's also ro sometimes, but it definitely means head. It was represented by a head. Okay. Let's see. Anything else in this one?
Just that Oakley logo is so merged together, it looks ridiculous, you know.
Yeah, it is. Labyrinth. Oh my god, I could talk about that one all day long. All right, Fruit Loops. So, do you guys remember it in the chat? Do you guys remember it being two O's, the double O, represented by two more cereal pieces, or just the word fruit? Fruit and then loops, and then the loops has the actual cereal pieces in it. It makes sense to me. Hold on, I'm processing this for the first time. So, fruit loops, and then fruit with two O's. That doesn't look right. This one looks right. What is it?
Yeah, I remember it being just the word fruit.
Okay, sweet. All right, Fruit Loops,
um,
Toucan
but again, like
Sim.
you kind of have the two O's merging, you know, it's kind of like making that Vesica Pisces in the middle, even though it's not
Oh
like, you
yeah,
know, it's explicit, but it's kind of the same thing.
right. That's a good point. And then also Toucan Sim is famous for saying "follow your nose," which means to
Right.
follow your intuition, follow the clues. You know.
And there's another change too that's harder to notice, but with Toucan Sam, he now has like a pink stripe on his nose. Like I remember the colors being like, you know, red, orange, yellow. Like I don't remember pink.
I don't know. I don't have a memory on that one. What do you guys think? I like to hear what everyone thinks in the comments and in the chat too. All right, we got a lot here. What's going on here?
So the Columbia House one, I think you'll resonate with because it's got like the blue and the white, like the Columbia from the beginning of or you know the movie logo, like Columbia Pictures. So like
Right.
the C and the O merged together. I think it's like saying, you know, like the temple at the blue beam.
What? This is so like yeah, I look at this and I'm like, this means more than just the word
Oh
that they're
yeah, yeah.
portraying. You see? So it's they purposefully put this the rest of the word with beginning with the O, which is like a bullseye. So they're wrapping this all the way around the O purposefully. It even goes more than halfway across before it stops to make the H. And then this is actually looking like planetary symbolism too, just off at first glance, like angel glyphs and the glyphs for planets and things like that. Let me back off a bit. Doesn't it kind of look like that? Or it's like a mirror, like it's holding like a
Yeah.
mirror, and then this is like the mirror or an eye or something in the middle. It's more than just the word. It's clearly more than just the word. It's not
Yep.
just
And like
stylized. Most people would just say, "Oh, it's just stylized."
the IA is different too, and that's like the ya, you know.
Right. That's the ending that every many countries across the world, place names, states, and stuff, they all have that "ya" at the end, um, which is sometimes IA, sometimes EA, like EA Sports and whatnot. Babes in
Yeah.
Toyland. All
There
right,
are
we
a
got.
few other ones on that last one. If you wanted to
Oh, my bad, my bad. Like,
start to,
oh, you're right, you're right. So, God, there's so much. Okay,
yeah, it's
co-
crazy.
break it
So I mean,
down. Let's
I
hear what you
never
got.
saw I never saw that book about Richard Nixon before, but it literally I do like a side business where I sell old media, so I was just searching VHS tapes, and this book came up, and like a book never comes up in those searches, so I feel like I was being shown this book just to get it out there, because like if you look at the title, like there's no way that the book would come out, like the publishers wouldn't it's a book about Richard Nixon, you know, like it looks ridiculous. And like I gave them a sword is like such a powerful message. I think it's about the blue beam. It's about God, you know,
Hmm.
putting truth back into the world. And it also the pattern you'll see a pattern too where A's are pointing either to the right or to the left. So it follows another pattern as well.
Wow. The sword symbolism definitely prevalent within the symbolism of the plasma apocalypse. The sword being Excalibur, the sword in the stone, and whatnot. This whole lettering, I never even thought to look at how the letters. Oh, you're right. The Jack in the Box. I did notice the Jack in the Box. Let's check that one out because I
Yeah,
noticed
that's
like there's like some symbolism happening with it. Did you ever see that video where I went into Jack in the Box?
I don't think so.
I went in there just recording, and I'm asking them, what does a children's toy have to do with burgers and stuff? Like
That's awesome.
they're like, let me get my manager.
Nice.
So I see the C and the K connected up here. This one over here just reminds me of like a fish symbol,
Yeah.
right? Like how Jesus is often represented by this fish form where it sort of crosses like that. And then the H connected right into the E. There's
Yeah.
almost not even an H here. It's
Right.
just an E and then a T, and then it's got like whatever this is in the middle.
Now they have since changed their logo, and I think in a lot of cases these companies change their logo because their logo gets Mandela affected and looks ridiculous, and then they like it's like why would you change a logo that you've poured millions of dollars into and all this advertising and everything, and companies do it fairly often, and I think a lot of the reasons why is because of the Mandela effect.
At the bottom, you wrote these logos merged because their names and designs evoke the Vesica Pisces, the central pillar, and the North Pole. Man, this
Like,
is great. I'm watching all your videos later.
thanks, man.
All
The
right.
like the cat's eyes, like cat's eyes are Vesica Pisces shaped,
Mm-hmm. And then Showtime. We also
Well,
have
it's
like
like
some
the
connecting letters.
yeah, the some of the letters connected, and it's like an eclipse, in the beginning of the logo.
Right. This is an eyeball, clearly.
Yeah.
This, you know what I mean? Like they have a circle and then there's like the iris right here. Okay, interesting. Let's continue on. What's the deal with Babes in Toyland?
Uh,
I see the symbolism of the two towers and stuff.
yeah. So like I was saying, like the logos changed or the font lettering, but the symbols on the posters and stuff, it's all connected. So like you were saying with the twin pillars, and it's kind of like the yellow and blue central pillar, and then the L and the A. I think there's a multiple mergings, but the most obvious one is the A just jammed into the L like that.
Right. Interesting. Okay, let's continue on. Black Sheep, classic movie. There's one in every family.
Well, again, it's the L and the A.
Okay, let's check
Um,
that out. So they did it again with the L and the A. At least this time they've got a pointy A.
yeah, that's true. It looks like a four though.
You're right. It does look like a four. Oh, this is actually the glyph for R in
Oh,
Phoenician.
interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
this is a Phoenician R. This is Resh. Okay, interesting. This is all super interesting. Blade Runner. What's going on here? The
Same
lettering?
thing. Yeah,
Okay.
it's got
Some
that
more
L and the
lettering.
A merge. Just
There's that
establishing this
glyph
pattern.
again.
Yeah.
That's the Resh glyph. All right, continuing on. Gorillas in the Mist.
Oh yeah, we already looked at that.
The mist we talked about, right? The depressurization, and then the mist that's surrounding the Phantom Island at the North Pole due to differentials in temperature and pressure.
And it could
Labyrinth.
relate to Curious George too. Like gorillas are like devolved humans. Like we're entering the mist maybe to get closer to the North Pole.
Yeah, I like it. Splash Mountain. We got some combining of letters and stuff here. The
Yeah.
font.
Again with the L and the A merged.
Got it. Okay. This one
This one
again.
too. There's a lot of changes about dancing. So I think this whole thing, it's like a test or like a dance. Like the more we, fight for the truth and stand up for the truth, it's like we're, dancing, against the beast system or like dancing with the devil, that type of thing. This one's a huge one for me. I don't know if you watched a lot of The Simpsons in
All
your
the
life.
time.
Or...
Yeah, when I was a kid, it came on at 9 o'clock at night when I was a kid. So like I had to beg my mom, and make deals to be able to stay up an extra hour to watch The Simpsons.
Well, have you ever seen Lisa's saxophone looking blue and violet?
No, I don't. Not that I remember.
So like every single intro of The Simpsons for the first 20 seasons, this is the biggest television show of all time. I saw every episode for the first 10 seasons, then I stopped watching, but I never saw this before in my life. And every single episode you look at, she'll have this in the beginning of the intro, if it's the extended intro, some are shortened. But I think it's like the chakra colors because light blue is like the color of truth. It's the color of throat chakra. And then violet is like the color of crown chakra. So I think it's like, and Lisa, the name means like devoted to God. So it's like, play your like vocal instrument, with your enlightened mind.
Right. The Looney Tunes spelling. This one's classic. I've come across this one. Let's see. Looney Tunes, which means crazy melodies, merry melodies. Didn't they also have like merry melodies or something like that?
Yeah, there was Merry Melodies and Looney Tunes, and I definitely remember tunes being the O's,
Yeah.
like a cartoon. But it's also got like kind of that bullseye, North Pole symbolism. I kind of wanted to get your take on the rabbit symbolism, if you don't mind.
This would be following the white rabbit, as they often say, right? To follow the rabbit. The rabbit hole. The rabbit hole usually means going into Mount Meru and going down into the earth or into the cornerstone or the Great Pyramid or Yggdrasil, which is where the Norse god of wisdom lives, basically, and you go down into it and you gain wisdom. Um, being healed completely, essentially, from top to bottom, just like in Quantum Leap when the guy stands in that big blue beam and all the air is rushing and stuff. That cold plasma regenerates people on a cellular level. It also invigorates you electrically. So it stimulates all the electricity, basically fixing all of the loose ends within the synapses of the body, activating dormant junk DNA, as they like to call it these days. And it's following the white rabbit. The symbolism, I believe, for the rabbit and why they use the word rabbit is not so much the animal or whatnot, but it's the animal that burrows and goes down into the earth and goes into a rabbit hole, right? Returning to the center, returning to source, the center of the maze, Mount Meru, the tree of life. Even in Alice in Wonderland, when she goes into that rabbit hole, it's within a mound, and right on that mound there's a tree growing out of the top of it in the Disney version of of the movie. And then there's just the word Rav. In Hebrew it means teacher, and then ot at the end is more of a feminine plural, to follow the feminine teacher, basically, which is that blue beam is more of a
Yeah,
feminine
interesting.
earth energy as opposed to like the dominant male energy that comes from above.
Right on.
That's
And
my
I
take
think
on it.
too, the loony can refer to the moon, So like
Oh
I think
yeah,
it's talking about like that central moon. I think that you talk about.
nice. Yes, and I also see the doom shape here too.
Yeah, and I think one of the patterns I've been seeing too in the Mandela effect is music or some kind of signal coming from the North Pole or from Mount Meru.
Yes, I feel it. Like, God, you're right on point with that, because that's the antenna of the Earth. Just like in what was that movie where they had the glasses? They put on the truth glasses or
They
whatever.
live.
Yeah, They Live. So in They Live, the whole crux of all of it was to like destroy the signal that's coming out of the roof
Right,
of this radio station or whatever, and like get it. Like that's we have a signal that is put out. There's resonant energy. There's people are aware of the Schumann resonance and stuff on the Earth or whatever. But there is a what do you call it? Something that sends out signals or whatever. My vocabulary is messed
transmitter.
up. Yeah, it's a
I guess.
transmitter. The Earth transmits, right? And it transmits from somewhere, an actual location, actual place. It's not just every rock everywhere is putting off its own deal. That happens, but there's a central point. Everything has its own central point, its own heart, its own inner center area. And ours is at the North Pole, at Mount Meru, that emits a signal electromagnetically that we can see visually when we hold a compass up and it points south to the North Pole. Animals follow it, we tune into it, and it gives us a sense of direction and purpose as well, to some people like that want to get to like the center of the maze or whatever, and go into the heart of the earth for a temporary stay in paradise for however long that might last, and to recharge, to actually physically, literally, actual recharging of the body, the mind, the spirit. Man, you get me hyped up with all this plasma apocalypse symbolism.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Then yeah, the Looney Tunes. So this is also the doom shape, aka the moon, the real moon, the apex of the firmament. It's a circle within the circle. This is the black hole in the middle, or the black hole sun, etc. And then you have space animals that come out of it. So there's in antiquity, there's tribes, Native American tribes specifically and especially, that talk about animals dropping down out of the heavens at the beginning of creation, and then
Oh, and
usually they're white.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but I learned this from you too. The Warner Brothers Shield, is
Mm.
right there too.
Yeah, so all of our truth in movies, when we break down who's it brought to you by, the shield, what color is the shield, indicating the Rothschilds or not, and then the keepers of time, the timekeepers, the protectors. Okay, let's continue on because I'll just get stuck on
Sure.
all that. How deep is your love? I really mean to learn because we're living in a world of fools. I believe in you. You know the door to my very soul. You're the light, my deepest dark. These are lyrics, clearly.
Yeah, so this is just so there's a lot of messages about love too, and it's one other reason why I don't think that the devil's doing it. But I understand that people could say it's a trick or whatever.
Right.
But this lyric used to be "I really need to know," and now it's "I really mean to learn." So it's like
Okay.
whoever's doing the Mandela effect wants to learn how deep each one of our individual love is, and maybe like the love for the truth.
Right. I really need to know. Interesting. And then mean can have a double meaning itself, to be mean to somebody or, not kind or
Sure.
whatever. Okay, that's interesting. What else? Oh, cardigans. Oh, this is classic. I love this song.
Well, the lyric in the song for me used to be, "I don't care about anyone but you."
I don't care about anything.
Anything but you. Yeah, sorry. It was, "I don't care about anything but you." But now it's, "I can't care about anything but you," or, "I can't care about anyone but you." But the
I
don't changed
can't.
to can't. Yeah.
Okay,
But it's another message
interesting.
about love.
All right, interesting. Let's see. Tales from the Dark Side. Okay, I remember this movie. Four
So
foolish
like
fools.
you have like the L, like I call it like a low L. I'm not sure what to make of it yet, but like the L often goes under the next letter, and then you have like the extended R also in from.
I see. Tall is sort of, and then a tiny little E right there too. I've noticed that they do that sometimes. This is all extremely interesting. I love breaking down the symbolism in these things. The Twilight Zone does something similar with their letterings I see here.
Yeah, the L goes under the second I like that.
Interesting. Sometimes, you know what I like to pay attention to when it comes to lettering like this is what is created in the liminal space between the actual
That's
letters.
true.
You know what I mean? So sometimes they will do that. They'll hide letters like this makes an L in and of itself, or you can like connect it to, you know what I mean? Like sometimes they actually force pictures in between what you're supposed to be looking at, and it speaks to us subliminally.
And I think it's kind of like saying too, like we're in the Twilight Zone or we're on the dark side of the mirror. Like the world's been flipped or inverted.
Hmm. All right, let's continue on. Manitou, what is
Uh,
this?
um, I don't know if you want to get into it yet, but this is one that changed for I mean like it's for everybody, but I think it was for me personally because
The Manitou.
I, so I sell old media like I was saying like on eBay and stuff, and I was literally holding this, actually have it right next to me. So like I was holding this tape in my hand one night because I was putting it in a box of old horror movies to sell on eBay. And the next morning I woke up to like, take a photo of the stuff or something. And I could put it up. Same thing. But the A was just in the normal font as the rest of the letters. And when I woke up the next morning, the A changed to what it looks like now. And then I had never thought to look up what the word Manitou means. So I looked it up, and it's an Algonquin entity. And it basically means an entity who has control to change reality.
Yes. I did a study on that too because there's a city here where I live called Manitou or Manitou Springs, and it's said to be the witch capital of all of America, basically. And then so I started looking up the Manitou, creation stories and origins and things like that. It's really interesting as far as like the legends and what they do. But this is not even an A. Hold on, let me get back to this.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
sure
not
what it
even an
means
A.
yet.
That's more like the Jack in the Box O and the X fish thing all over
Yeah.
again. Right there.
And I realize the cover looks kind of sinister too, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a sinister message. But
Right. Okay, let's continue on. Let's see. Well,
oh,
let's
I
see.
just included that because it's kind of like the same symbol. I was wondering if you knew what the symbol, like what the name of that symbol is, but
Um, Off the top, honestly, I can't think of anything just on the spot. I can't
I was
really
just
think
curious
of
because I
what
saw
this
that
is.
book and I
Unless,
was
of
like,
course, it's the
oh,
fish symbol.
yeah.
But this one, we can build context. This one has a dragon incorporated into it, or which is basically plasma to me. But then this other one over here has what looks to be like a double chimney or something. Like maybe you
It
could
looks
say
kind
that
of
there's
like a
fire coming out.
electrical. Yeah, it looks like electrical to me, kind
And
of.
this also kind of looks like the tip of like what you dip in honey. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Those
yeah.
little honey dipper things. I don't know. I'd have to consider that one for a little bit more.
So
Blades
that's
of
like a
Steel. Oh my God.
hundred.
I used to play that all the time.
Yeah, like
This one
it's
in Double
all
Dribble.
merged. It's all merged together if you look closer at it.
Oh, yeah, you're
Um,
right. The lettering.
yeah, that's 100% change for me. You have the L and the A again, but the ES, the ST.
Interesting. All right, let's continue on. Brave Star, the movie. I've never even heard of that.
So again, we got the RA connection. The word star comes up a lot. I think the word the in where it says the movie, you have the other like HE connecting to each other.
Right. Interesting. Okay, let's continue on. Christmas in Connecticut.
There's a
Is
lot
this
of
is this the
Christmas
letters?
changes. Yeah, look at the H and the R in particular. So like, why would they do this on the cover of Christmas in Connecticut? It's obviously a change, in my opinion.
Right. And also, I mean, it draws focus to that area. This guy is like Home Alone.
Yeah, that's funny. Like the scream. Actually, people say the scream changed too because now he has like a bracelet, which that guy kind of has with his wristwatch. Weirdly
Oh, you're
enough.
right. Interesting. What? This one's more lettering.
Yeah, the letters are merged together for
Try to
dead
stay calm.
calm.
That's good advice during the plasma apocalypse. This is what the water looks like too. I talk about this all the time with the water reflecting the red sky above, and it's more of a wine dark ocean or sea or whatever. Voyage into fear, high seas, deep terror.
It could be
Okay,
like the calm before the storm too, possibly.
yeah. I see these letterings. These ones are more obvious.
Yeah, that's
Looks
crazy.
real
I've never
weird.
seen this book before, so I can't like 100% it's a 100% say it's a Mandela effect. But I mean, it's pretty obvious that it is, and it's obviously got a large spiritual message too, because a lathe is something. It's kind of like descripting the Earth, because it's like something that spins around on like a horizontal axis that you shape with a tool.
Okay, so that's the world axis then, and this is like
Yeah,
this is the north actual pole, and this would be the firmament above.
it's kind of like Rupus Nigra.
Yeah. Oh, and it's black too. You're right. Logan's Run. Oh, I have not done this one yet. I can't wait to do this one.
I love Logan's Run. It's one of my favorites.
This one's so good. All right, so we got some more stuff with the lettering I see up
Yeah,
here.
the G and the A are
Let's
connected.
check this out while we're at it here. This is interesting. I think this is that thing that makes them all get sucked up into the dome or whatever happened. I forgot
Like
what it's called. The
the eye.
carousel. It wasn't called the
Oh yeah,
carousel.
yeah, the carousel. Yeah,
Yeah, this is like and there's like a hand right there. This is totally the doom shape. This is oh my god. Okay, I don't want to get us too off topic. This is
sure.
that one you mentioned.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, we talked about that. Yeah,
Paperboy. Oh, classic.
yeah. So the letters are all merged together in a really crazy way. I'm not 100% sure what this one means, but it's a definite change because I mean this is like a game for kids. Like why would they make it that hard to read?
Right.
And
Huge
the O is
O.
large. Yeah, it wasn't like that. The letters were all separated.
I never beat that game. That game's hard.
Yeah, all the NES games are hard.
Yeah. Let's see. Is this one more lettering?
Yeah, you have the H and the E again, and then the R has the extended leg, and the N is merged into the D in Gwendolyn.
Interesting. I'm gonna start paying more attention to the letters and the shapes of the letters and the fonts and things. Salem's Lot, Stephen King.
So the L and the T merged into the O, but also the thing that's the biggest change for me is you have another apostrophe that comes in front of the S.
Yeah. What the hell's that?
It's
Why
I'm
is
not
that there?
100% sure. It could be like maybe like it's saying like it's short for Jerusalem, perhaps.
Oh, I like that. That has to be it. That makes perfect sense because the apostrophe means that there's something missing, right? And it represents something that is not there or that's hidden. So Jerusalem, I get that. Hold on, let me zoom in on the O here to see what's happening. All right, so we got a lot of the pointy tower, some pointy towers back here, the red sun, some black mansion deal. All right, let's continue on. Another one.
Yeah, so the
This one
movie
doesn't have it.
version, yeah, so the movie version changed also because you could see how the letters look crazy with the L and the T, but it changed in a different way than the book changed. So it's like maybe multiple messages about the same thing, you know?
Right. And this one also makes a box around a
Yeah.
circle. And then like that portion of the firmament's also considered to be a box, even though it's not cubical in shape, but it's a
Okay.
container. Soul Train, I see the huge O smashing into all the other letters here. Golden
Yeah.
Train, rainbows
And
coming out the top.
soul and train are big keywords too.
I've also spoken of the symbolism of the actual soul train and what that would be. So it's an electromagnetic train, plasma train, or filament, or conduit, or hall that goes upside out of our world and connects from here to other worlds, acting as like the whole train symbolism or subway or you know what I mean, like passage between worlds or what you get on or ride through the tunnels that take you in, you know, beyond
Right on.
the liminal spaces or whatever.
Well, it reminds me of
That
the
shows up a
Matrix.
lot.
It's like the Matrix Part 3,
Hmm.
where he's like stuck in the subway and you have
Yeah.
to like get the guy, get the guy's permission to get out of there.
Yeah, that's on the Heavenly Kid. Do you remember the Heavenly Kid?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's classic. You got to see that one. So that's an 80s movie. But the Heavenly Kid, they have this train of the dead. They have a train of the dead or a soul train in the new Beetlejuice movie,
Oh,
Beetlejuice,
cool.
Beetlejuice. It's all over the place. WrestleMania, what's going on here with the lettering?
Yeah, I think the R and the S, that looks different to me, where they like dip down below the bar and connect.
Okay. And then
There's a lot of like,
WF. Isn't it
yeah, there's a lot of
WWF?
fighting. It used to be, it's WWF,
Did they
yeah.
just merge it into WF?
That looks the way it used to be to me.
Okay.
But there are a lot of Mandela effects that involve like fighting or like some kind of contest, you know?
Yeah.
Like Fight Club is another one. Like I don't have a picture of it here, but the bar of soap, when Brad Pitt holds the bar of soap for the poster, if you look at it, the letters are merged together now.
Okay. Interesting. Angel,
Uh,
just
yeah,
how
there's a lot of
the lettering's
changes.
here.
Yeah, there's a lot of changes with the word angel also, and you can see here like the logo. It's like missing pieces. Like I never actually saw this show, but I did see it advertised a lot, like in the late '90s, I guess.
Right.
And I know that logo it was that font, but the letters were you know, clear. They were complete.
That is interesting. Alien. We got more
I
of the
think
vector. They leave out that middle space that's needed for the
yeah,
A, like they're pointing out there.
there's a lot that are like the lambda, but I think it refers to like a mountain, and you know, obviously the North Pole Mountain.
Right. Okay, interesting. Let's see what else we got. Cliff bar. It's missing an
So
F.
yeah, so I think this and the next one too will be like Cliff Notes, which definitely used to be Cliff Notes for me, and now they're Cliff's Notes.
They are?
Yeah,
It's
uh,
Cliff's? No,
yeah.
people
Now,
just said Cliff's notes like that was them messing up what it was. It was
yeah,
Cliff Notes.
now it's Cliffs with an S, and I think both of these are like again like music from the mountain. So it's like
Right.
musical notes from the mountain and music bars from the mountain.
Okay, that's interesting. Demolition Man, we broke this one down. We got the
Um, Yeah, the two patterns here would be the broken E and the A's are like the mountain symbols now too.
right. This is like the Adidas stripes as well. This is basically the three beams, the anode cathode in the middle for me.
Yeah.
Kia.
Um,
Uh this is what it this is what I remember, just regular old Kia. But is it this one now?
yeah. And this is another company that changed their logo too, because I think because of this, because it looks ridiculous, really. But the word Kia, actually, if you look up the name Kia, it means mountain.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you think that these companies that are changing their logos in response to the Mandela effect are doing some sort of damage control
I
or
think
something
so.
like that?
They also even like kind of troll people too. Like on April Fool's Day, like Fruit of the Loom, they like put a cornucopia in their logo, like just to mess with people because everyone keeps asking them, where's the cornucopia?
Right,
So there's a lot of weird stuff going on with some of these companies. Like they're trying to cover it up. They don't really want people to talk about it.
right. Okay, so this one's interesting to me because this means white mountain, but
Yep.
it's got a black box. It's a white mountain in a black box or a black container. So like I talk about, Mount Meru develops this uh I got to figure out the right word to describe this, but like a rust basically that turns it black. It's much darker on the outside, and then whenever the electricity runs through it, it breaks all of that off, and you can see more of a shiny color to it, which makes it look more white basically. So the white mountain, the black mountain, and then you have like the Star of David up here as well.
Yeah.
So
Do
the
you think it's
black
like
mountain.
like a char, like a charcoal, like the black rust or
Possible. I think it has to do with the oxidation. So
okay.
I'm leaning towards Mount Meru being magnetite, right? I mean, probably lots of different metals, if I'm to guess. Iron specifically, iron and magnetite. The magnetite, whenever it's pure, it reflects, and it looks very bright, and it looks like it's shining, and almost looks like it's, it can be seen as a white look to it, even though it's not white. It's more like a gray, I guess, but it shines so much depending on the light source. And then whenever you have the electricity goes away, and then you have it's all surrounded with all this oxygen and vapor and stuff that's all over the place, then it starts to rust essentially. You know what I mean? And it makes it darker, just like pans and things like that that turn black. No Man's Sky, we've got the dome, I see.
Yeah.
Fantazoid, weird creatures going on. What's
I
the
never
Mandela
played
effect
this.
here?
I never played the game, but I do remember like advertising for it, and I think the A again turned into like the mountain symbol, and then it looks
Okay.
like that the S's aren't complete on the bottom anymore
They're
either.
not. Interesting.
I'm not 100% sure on this one, but
ASS.
but like you said, it's got like the dome, the crystal, it's got all the symbolism anyway.
Yes. Saturn. Oh, the A
This
again?
one's 100, yeah, 100%, and look at the U and the R too.
Oh, I never even noticed that. No. Oh, this is
Yes.
messed up. This is messed up. Okay.
So Saturn would be like the left pillar, or like the Black Mountain, I think.
Right. All right. We're gonna speed it up a little bit and just move through some of
Yeah,
these
it's
last
a
ones.
lot.
I'm just gonna kind of point out some different ones. If you see one that sticks out to you, let me know. We got Space Cowboys. The E, this is
Sure.
missing the E portion. Look at that.
Yeah, and the A
There's no
too. Yeah,
E. And there's no
and I
A
think
here. Then there's no E here. There's no
space.
middle line. They've taken out the middle line. It's supposed to be this middle line right there. Interesting. And then this, why does it have this? Why do they put rockets with red plasma laser trails? You know what I mean? NASA does that. What is this?
It looks similar to NASA.
Yeah, it does, right? All right, let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, this is the Mandela, the Earth, the shape of the Earth to some people, I guess. Oh, James Garner's name. Some people think it was Gardner. Space
Okay.
Mountain. Space Mountain is the only roller coaster I do not put my hands up in the air. I was just gonna say
Yeah,
that
that's
because they get
dangerous.
chopped off. Okay, we got Space Mountain. I see some triple beam symbolism. We got the A missing the middle pillar. More. This is more letters, right?
Yep, the star and the crystal again, and the A's are both like the mountains. I think it's referring to not just the North Pole, but also inside us. It's like the pineal gland and our evolution. It's also got a sinister look to it too. Again, like the big eye, and there's a
Yeah,
lot
it's the
going
eye in
on.
the sky. It's the red eye in the sky. The water's coming down from the heavens. Um, Star crystal being like if the star is that apex inverted dome that I'm talking about, and it's made out of crystal, or it's crystalline in nature or ice form. Stovetop. What's changed here?
Well, this
Stofers,
one's a huge
craft.
one for,
Is that it?
yeah, like it used to be Stouffer's
Yeah.
stovetop,
Now it's
100%.
craft.
Yeah, and now they even took the whole label off, so it's just stovetop. But it was never Stouffer's. But
Interesting.
so interestingly enough, if you look up what the name Stouffer's means, it means mountain again. So I think what's going on here is because the whole Earth is going to become like a stovetop. So it's like saying like the mountain is removed from that, catastrophe. I think.
Right. Ah, this is my huge crush on any movie is Scarlett Johansson in The Island. All right, here's The Island. I mean, I think I could talk about the movie all day long, but is the Mandela effect?
I
What's
think
the
it's the
Mandela
A.
effect?
Yeah.
The A? Okay.
Whether it's a Mandela effect or not, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but it's again, they're talking about the island at the North Pole, and
Right.
again, it's that mountain symbolism.
Right, yeah. Let's see. PlayStation, we got the clown, Twisted Metal,
Yeah, so the
Twisted
A
Metal
in
Black.
metal, this one's 100% for me because I had this game and my friends and I liked the Twisted Metal series a lot. So it's kind of like saying like the Twisted Black Metal Mountain
Right. Twisted Metal, and
and
then the
and
clown
the
symbolism too.
yeah, the clown is like the left pillar stuff too. So there's a lot of changes that relate to Sam. Uncle Sam lost the stripes in his hat. Like pretty much any time you'll see Uncle Sam being portrayed by anyone, he'll have red stripes on his
Right.
hat. But now
Yeah.
now it's just like Columbia, it's like just the blue and the white hat
Damn, this is
and
crazy.
and the star.
This Blu-ray symbol messes me up too. The symbol, the logo for Blu-ray, it's the 6, and then it's got a dome or whatever. That's basically
Oh,
like the,
interesting. Yeah, I never looked at
and
that.
then it's the Blu-ray. It's the blue beam. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely.
Samsung
Yes,
with the
this is
weird
another one
A.
where
This looks like a pair of
yes,
pants.
it does. It's blue too. But yeah, it's another one where it's like, music coming from the mountain, and Sam
Right.
again.
The
Sam comes up
stripes
a
on the
lot.
hat.
Yeah, that's actually the guy who posed for the original Uncle Sam photo or the poster. So he's got stripes on his hat, like he doesn't
Right.
know what it is.
Interesting. The stripes are missing.
Um,
Explorers. This is
I think
the
the
lettering.
O, yeah, the O. It's kind of got that eclipse.
Oh, same
The
thing.
howling also,
Solar babies.
yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. What is that? I've never heard of this one. Do
I
you
haven't
collect
seen it yet.
these
But,
older movies? Is that that you do that in your free time?
well, yeah, I haven't watched this one yet, but I do have it. I know that the logo changed, and it's got the LA also. This is another longer one to get into, but it's like basically what happened is the phoenix bird was replaced with a rainbow bird, so it's got that interesting symbolism going on.
Yeah, and this one looks like the Cocoa Puffs bird.
Yeah, those are two Pokemons.
Ghost
Um,
World?
so yeah, the R in Ghost World has that extended leg,
Oh yeah, you're right. Same thing here.
and
Hearthstone.
yeah,
The Earthstone. There's a lot of symbolism to break down. The Little Mermaid. The R again, the extended
yeah.
R.
There's a lot of
Interesting.
extended R ones. Mr.
Mr.
Rogers'
Rogers.
neighbor, like that. I don't remember that R just being connected all the way down like that.
Yeah, triple. The triple extended R. I wonder what that's about. Naruto. Naruto.
Uh, another extended R. And also his name, his last name is Uzumaki, which translates to spiral. And the name Naruto is also named after a spiral because it's like a piece of food that they put into ramen that's shaped like a spiral.
Mm. There's the
Orca,
extended R again.
yeah,
Orion. The R and the I
the R,
connected.
yeah.
All right. Let's see. Road to Perdition. So this is a lot of these are the letterings, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to
The
establish
R.
these patterns of the
Craft. I see it
extended
there.
R. Yeah.
Westron. Double Dragon. Oh, it's bringing me back.
Yeah, the R and the A are connected. A
Dracula.
lot of the Draculas are connected with the R and the A. Drakkar Noir basically means black dragon.
Yeah. And then eau de toilette means toilet water.
Yeah.
That's funny. She-Ra, very nice. Tomb Raider.
It's Tomb Raider actually changed while I was kind of studying it because I remember the first time I looked at it, it was just the R and the A connected, and I made a note that it was just the R and the A, and now the E and the R are connected too.
Yeah. Interesting. Training Day. What's this one?
Yeah, the R and the A
Oh, I see. I
connecting
see.
again. So these are some residues of the way rainbows used to be. I don't know if this one registers for you, but for me, rainbows used to have violet on top and red on the bottom.
Okay. I see.
So
Chuck means
his
Freeman.
and that's like a Grateful Dead poster or album.
Okay. So violet on top or bottom. Is that what it was?
Well, I remember it used to be violet on top, and now it's violet on the bottom, which kind of suggests that we're in like an upside down inverted world. And what's interesting
Yeah.
too is when you have like a double rainbow, the rainbow on top of the normal rainbow will have violet on top.
Okay.
This is another one. I don't know if traffic lights register with you, but for me, they used to be green on top with red on the bottom. And
Oh,
I think
it's upside down now.
yeah, it took me a while to like remember that because like we see traffic lights, pretty much every day. But then like all of a sudden it dawned on me, and I was like, oh yeah, they did used to have green on top. And then I
Yeah.
think a lot of these residue, they like the names and the things that they're showing us, they relate to the change itself too. So like halfway tree, like if you consider the rainbow, like if you place the rainbow over the tree of life, then green would be in the middle. So it's kind of like the half of the tree,
Also, to me, the color green has changed in the light. Like when I go out in the world these days, I see more of a blue in the green in the green lights. They're no longer green. It's more like a aqua blue color.
Oh,
This is
interesting.
green. This right here is green. That's how I remember it. Actual green lights. Hey, the light's green. But next time you go out and drive around, take a look at the green lights, and I swear
Yeah,
you'll be like, that's blue. Like that's
that's
a blue green
interesting.
light. There's no green. What's going on? That's green right there. That's obviously green. But that's not what I see when I go out and I look at the green lights. They have changed almost to like an aqua blue. That one's more, I don't know, I can't tell with this one. Dream Theater, that's
And
cool.
like the Dream Theater logo is different too. Like the A's, it's got the extended R again. The A's are like the mountains, and I think it's kind of like saying, like we're in like a dream theater. Like that's kind of like a way to describe the Earth.
Sweet. Let's see. We got some more Simpsons action.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
supposed
this
to be
is like a
Smokey.
yeah. It used to be Smokey the Bear, but now it's just Smokey Bear, and that's another big pattern too. Is the word it's added to some things and it's subtracted from other things. And I kind of wanted to ask you about like the name Arthur, like that relating. Have you ever heard of that relating to like a bear,
Arthur a bear? I
like
can't think
King
of the.
Arthur's? Because I looked it up and it said like Arthur could mean like a bear, but I had never heard of that
Oh, yeah,
before.
I can actually. So, the name Arthur comes from Har and then Tor, which means mountain tower, basically. So Har Tor, Arthur, it means mountain tower, which is basically Mount Meru. And then Mount Meru is related to the I think it's the Little Bear constellation in the area that, or whatever up above it. The bear constellations are more northern or northerly, like the dippers, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, so they relate Arthur to bears through the constellation and the seven stars that allegedly make up these constellations. In reality, it's the Septon Trio at the north or in the Arctic.
So with the Septon Trio, is it seven mountains in addition to the three main mountains, or are the three main mountains part of the Septon Trio?
I always constantly examine that because my my view on that it changes with information as I study. You have to excuse this train.
Oh, sure.
But I see that we have the central beam as a plasma volcano, anode and cathode, so that gives us 3. And then if we have 7 other ones, right? Then now we have 10. I don't know as far as like the exact numbers or whatever. I believe that there's an anode and a cathode mountain, possibly doubled, possibly that there's 2 anode and 2 cathodes, but I'm solid on 1 anode, 1 cathode mountain, Mount Meru in the middle. But then the septentrio, that there's these 7 mountain ranges, or the 7 mountains, plasma volcanoes that shoot their individual beams up into the sky as well. And then it all depends on people's perspectives too, because you can have 2 things that look like 2, but if you change your perspective, then they'll look like 1. You know what I mean? So it depends on where
Right.
people are on Earth looking at
That's
those
true.
beams of light or whatever that come up out of those mountains. Let's see. So I married an axe murderer. Is this a letter, a font?
Yeah, actually, it's a really interesting one because the woman on the left, she used to have an axe behind her back, and now it disappeared.
Oh yeah, because that makes sense because he's holding
Yeah.
flowers. What?
So
I
they
remember
were
that.
both, yeah, they were both hiding something behind their back, but now she isn't.
That's messed up. Okay, interesting. So they made the axe disappear. Okay, this is
Yeah, I'm
interesting.
not 100% sure on that. Also about the Smoky Bear one too. I was wondering if it maybe related to like the Smoky God story from the North Pole, because like on the
Mm-hmm.
show Lost, like you have like the smoke cracking at the North Pole, and there's something going on there with the smoke.
I'm not sure.
Um,
I always relate smoke with the mist that happens basically. Like I think Islam talks about how the world will be covered in smoke in Judgment
okay,
Day, but and I feel like it's too easy for people to say like, oh, it's all the volcanoes or it's whatever.
right.
All the volcanoes will erupt if what I'm saying is correct. They'll all erupt at the same time, and but all that's going to get sucked up out of the atmosphere, and then instead of smoke, we'll have mist everywhere, like all this
That
mist
makes
that
sense.
appears across the world, giving us the vapor canopy. We got Converse. What's changed with Converse?
Well, the stars used to be on the outside, but now they're on the inside.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're right.
Um,
Actually, it should be over here
yeah, so it's kind of
because you can't
like an
see it
inward
really whenever
facing.
you're standing. It doesn't even make advertising
Yeah,
sense.
why would you design it that way?
Right. Interesting. So to converse, I'm just man, I got like put together like all the little nuances of these things.
Yeah, there's a lot.
See if we can find a message. Like this seems like codes. Like if we take out the things that are missing or the main subject matter or what it's like focusing on, and then just like make a list of all these things, I wonder if we can, possibly find some sort of message or code in there.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point of my channel. So like the star in Top Gun, it used to be between the 2 words, but now it's lower than the logo.
Yes. Okay. I could see that.
So there's a lot of star related changes.
AutoZone, what's the
Um,
change here?
so this is another pattern. The T's lose one of their crossbars. So like you see how like the T in AutoZone, it only points to the right,
Right.
and you'll see that in a lot of changes also.
Contra. Okay,
Yeah,
don't
like
tell me it's the code. I know the code by
no,
heart.
no, it's the letters.
Okay. Damn. All right. Man. Oh, that's cool. That's kind of the same thing too.
So like the A is pointing a certain direction or to the left, and then the T is missing, and like the T's are missing on these, part of the T that the one of the crosses. Oh, so this is again the North Pole, the bullseye.
Yeah, this is a big deal. Many people remember the target being more like this one right here in the middle.
Yeah,
I
I do.
remember this one more.
Yeah,
I don't know about this one on the right, but this one is weird. This one to me
yeah,
is it. They changed it. Like I accepted it when I first saw it. I'm like, oh, they changed the logo. They're just trying to, go for a new look. This is what it used to be. This is the
yeah.
cheap Target. Okay, this is the new fancy expensive Target. This is in the old days. Target was like Kmart. Okay,
Yeah.
it was cheap. Okay, now it's this one with like the doom shape and everything's expensive there. I took an arrow to the knee.
Do you know Skyrim?
Yeah, I used
So
to be
like
an
this was like
adventurer. until I took an arrow into the knee or whatever.
Yeah, so this was like a huge meme. Like anyone who knows Skyrim knows this meme. But now it's I took an arrow in the knee instead of to the knee.
What? That's
Yeah.
wrong. No, no, no. I took an arrow to the knee. Everybody knows that. That's what they say. I
Yeah, it's
took
a
an
huge
arrow
one.
in the knee. I took an arrow in the knee. Fudge.
It's a
No.
good one
Like,
for younger it's a good one for younger people, you know.
yeah. So for people that don't understand, like, in Skyrim, various NPCs will just have, they'll try to make quick side conversation as you walk past. Some of them will be like, whoa, 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 watch the magic or whatever, if you do some magic near them. And another one would be like, I used to be an adventurer till I took an arrow to the knee or whatever. And that's what they say, which means that's their way of saying they got married, basically. I took an arrow in the knee. That's more like saying I got shot in the knee with an arrow, and it has nothing to do with getting married.
That's actually cool. I never thought about the marriage angle to it.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow to the knee. Yes.
I just put some, there's a million examples that you could find of people saying this.
Okay.
Which is now the wrong
Arrow
way.
to the knee. Robin Hood. What is this?
Yeah, so
What?
like the H, it looks like a backwards K now with the arrow, and then the O is like a
That's
wrong. Target.
What is
Yeah.
that? There's no way. This is the original?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Schwarzenegger.
With Terminator, so I mean the word judgment changed. They used to have an E in the middle, and I even have like an anchor memory for this because I remember when the word judgment changed, so it didn't have an E. And then I remember seeing the Terminator 2 poster, and it still had the E in judgment.
That's weird.
And now even the A's are slanted to the left.
Oh wow, this is so strange. Why isn't there an E?
And like judgment's obviously a huge message. So like I think a lot of these Terminator logos are changed. The next one's even crazier. This one looks totally, the Dark Fate one looks crazy.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to mute my mic real quick. Sounds like ghosts are sword fighting.
Return of the Living Dead. That this for me definitely did not have the word "the" in the beginning, so now it's the Return of the Living Dead. So it's kind of like the opposite of Smokey the Bear. And I think it has a lot of powerful messaging to it too, because one of the things Jay talks about is how there's actually going to be zombies. So I think that's part of it. And then another one too is like the dead could also mean like the spiritually dead. So it's like we're returning to our home or to like the garden, but we were spiritually dead, but now we're coming alive again.
Yeah, I remember just return. It just starts with return, not the return. The Return of the Living Dead. It sounds very redundant and it sounds like a mouthful. It doesn't sound right to me. That's like saying the Tron or something.
Yeah, like, it might even become the Tron one day.
and it's the is a definite article, so it points to something. In and of itself, it's a sign.
Mm-hmm.
Tron. What's going on with Tron? The lettering?
Yeah, both the Tron
weird.
logos are really weird looking now. The new movie and the original movie.
Mm-hmm. I see the Mount Meru symbolism there.
Yeah, that's
Braveheart.
The original. With Braveheart, the A's they now have like an upside down triangle, which is like a water symbol, I believe. But I'm not sure if that's necessarily the message. And Dragon Warrior has it too, with the A's being the triangles. There's a lot of dragon symbolism too.
Beam me up, Scotty. So they never said that, right?
Yeah, that's never been said in Star Trek. I really want to ask you, what do you think the words or the name Scott means? I tried to look it up, and I couldn't find a good definition.
I have looked it up before. I don't remember off the top, but let's see if we can find it real quick.
Because it's probably important.
Quote.
So I looked it up, and it's like, oh, it's a person from Scotland. So I looked up, what does Scotland mean? And it's like, oh, it's the land of the Scots. Like it's just like this like circular thing.
Yes, they do that often. Let's see. I'm checking it out right now. Scott. Borrowed from a tribe. That doesn't help. Oh, here we go. Etymology: a shooting, a shot. A thing shot, a missile. Proto-Indo-European scud, like Scud missile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Skeud, scud, to shoot, to chase, or to throw.
Well,
Sciota, to transfer, etc. But it means to shoot, essentially. To chase, to shoot, or to throw. So it means a projectile or to project.
I think this relates to the blue beam, so that makes total sense.
Yes. All right. See what else we got. Sword in the Stone. What's this one about?
Well, again, I think it's blue beam symbolism. So, I mean, for me,
Yeah.
I've actually never seen this movie, weirdly enough, but I do remember seeing the poster and the VHS cover and all that, and I remember it being in an actual stone.
Yeah. I mean, you can see
Not
the beam of light that's coming down. This happens when Aladdin goes to get the lamp too. There's like this
yeah.
blue beam that shoots down. That is the sword right there, the light that comes down. The sword shooting into the stone. This is what people see. People saw this in the sky, especially like if you look at the sack on Jerusalem and ancient Rome and whatever. People saw the army in the heavens of angelic figures fighting each other. They also saw a sword in the heavens above the heavenly city. And then the anvil is the immovable rock, the metallic rock or whatnot, the singing sword, the sword in the stone. But were you trying to point out the lettering in this one?
Well, I do think there might be some merging going on, but for me, it's that the anvil itself. Like I remember it being in an actual stone,
Yes.
not in the anvil.
And his name is
Um,
Arthur, right?
Yeah,
The
and I
Tower
have
of
seen the scene from the movie where they show the big beam going over the sword. So it's definitely that symbolism again.
That brings us back to the beginning. So that was a lot, but hey, if everybody's watching, that's by no means all of them. Okay. That
There's a
was like
lot.
that was a quick sampling, and we focused in on some, particular areas of things that are changed or slightly changed or whatever. But this, I mean, we didn't even get into like, the major ones. That's why I really like Mark's channel, is because he's picking up on a lot of stuff that I've never even thought of or noticed before. So my big takeaway from this is examining. Okay, there's a book that I've read that I talk about all the time called The Sword of Truth. In The Sword of Truth, this truth seeker named Richard, he's got innate magic, right? And one of the things that he does is there's this scene where there was this forest path, and they're walking along the forest path, and he tells everyone to stop, and they're like, "What?" He's like, do you see something wrong with this? And they're all looking at it and they just can't figure it out. They're looking all over the place, looking for, something that's out of color or out of place or whatever. And he's like, no, it's perfect. Like this is too perfect. Like this is nature. This is the forest. There should be tracks, because he's a tracker too. There should be tracks. There should be broken twigs and stuff. Everything was pristine and perfect, and it looked, too put together, which led him to realize that somebody had covered up their tracks and tried to make it look perfect or whatever, which is sort of a Mandela effect thing too. Um, I like to see that. I did a really old video on the Mandela effect a long time ago, and I actually used the comparison to The Sword of Truth. There was another book where they had cast a spell, basically on everyone, and changed their perceptions and stuff. But what I want to say is, thank you for being a guest, and thank you for bringing my attention the concept that the Mandela effect is, or can be seen as, something that's more profound and personal, reaching out to the people that have the eyes to see, like it says in the Bible, right? And that it seems like there is some kind of message that's being shared with people. At least with me, that's what I'm picking up on, right? Before you came on as a guest, it was a splinter in my mind. It messed with me. Like, I love the Mandela effect. I love seeing all the changes, but I didn't put together that there may be context when we put all those changes together for a greater picture. Like, each Mandela effect is its own little puzzle piece.
Well, I mean,
What are your grand finale thoughts on the whole Mandela effect thing?
well, first, just thank you for having me. And even though you didn't realize it, you were a major instrumental part in me putting together the content on my channel. Just for me watching your videos, and while I was at the same time, decoding the Mandela effect, I was, thinking about the Mandela effect. Then I would watch one of your videos, and I would be like, "Oh my God, this is that, and this is this," it was just like all these pieces falling into place. So, thank you for that. Thank you for having me. And I mean, I don't know. I think we've said a lot today. I think it's God sending us important messages in these end times. Telling us to get to the North Pole. What exactly that means, I don't know at this time, but I mean, the map of the world is also something that's been changed by the Mandela effect. So maybe at some point there's going to be like a literal path that opens up to the North Pole that we'll just go on. It's I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
this is kind of the start of something big, I think.
Well, there's definitely something to it from my perspective. It's not just, I mean, it's so easy to dismiss and say, "Oh, it's just false memory or whatever." Like, and they make a big deal about that in the movie too. It's clearly not false memory when it's happening on such a grand scale across the world, and like all of the weight. Each one of these is little pieces of evidence. If we were in a courtroom, it would be so much evidence, mounds and mounds of evidence, that it would be undeniable. Like you couldn't deny it. You'd have to call out the elephant in the room, which is things are changing. You know what I mean? I would like to hear all of your opinions on the Mandela effect. Do you think it's simulation theory? Do you think it's the devil? Do you think it's God? What does it mean to you personally? What experiences have you had? Share yours, and come over to Mark's channel, C-3PO's Golden Calf, and check out his works as well. If you guys want to check out my books, the Ancient Oblivion series, you can purchase those from me directly and get autographs and merch and stuff on my website, JayDreamerZ.com. Yeah, I've got the Plasma Apocalypse, which we've mentioned. Many things on this presentation were symbolic imagery that we were talking about the Plasma Apocalypse, and also Return to Hyperborea, which has everything to do with Eden and phantom islands at the center of the world, the North Pole, the Black Mountain, plasma volcanoes, and the like. Mark, thank you so much. Go ahead and stick around. I'm just going to roll the outro, and then I'm going to say goodbye to you personally. All right. So everyone else, thank you so much.
Bye,
Until
everyone.
next time, good vibes and goodbye.